Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for today's guide on how to watch the 2023 Rugby Championship live and in HD. Right, so the question we get a lot is how can you watch all the action as the Springboks, All Blacks, Wallabies and Los Pumas go head to head in a abbreviated Rugby Championship because this is a World Cup year. So just the 3 weeks of the Rugby Championship. It all gets underway this weekend. South Africa hosting Australia, Argentina hosting New Zealand. Should be an absolute cracker of a day. And I'm going to show you how you can watch the action. Before I do, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right now, at this stage, there are no free-to-air broadcasters. However, there is a way around that, and that's what we're going to show you how to do. In terms of the official broadcasters, if you're in South Africa, it is SuperSport. If you're in Australia, it is Stan. If you are in Argentina, I think it's ESPN. If you're in New Zealand, it's Sky. In the UK and stuff like that, also Sky. So if you just go on the SANZAAR website, you'll be able to see where your broadcasts are for wherever you are in the world. Now, if you are trying to find a way to watch, then the cheapest way is to actually get Stan Sport because you can actually get a 7-day free trial, which means you'll be able to watch all the action for free. However, that is only available if you're located in Australia. So if you're not in Australia, you can still get access to Stan, but through the use of a VPN. There are two options that we've got. We're going to show you ExpressVPN. However, we do have Bitdefender as well. They're one of our channel partners, and their VPN works very well as well, and it's actually a bit cheaper. So I've got both options in the comments below. Go and get either of them, and you can get yourself a Stan free trial and watch all the action. So in terms of Stan, once you've got your VPN set up, what you're going to do is you're going to connect to an Australia server. As you can see, there's a 30-day free trial for Stan itself. However, Stan Sport, which has got the live broadcast, that is only a 7-day free trial. So if you get it on Saturday, for example, you'll be able to watch both the Springboks versus Wallabies as well as the All Blacks versus Pumas. And next weekend, you'll then be able to watch Australia's Argentina and All Blacks Springboks. So you'll be able to watch all 4 of those games within your 7-day free trial. A week later, you can just sign up with another email address. So first things first, get yourself a VPN. Make sure you're connected to the right location, which is Australia. And then you're going to sign up for the free trial. Now, I have signed up for the free trial. And this is what Stan looks like. And as you can see sort of over there, these are all the live and upcoming matches and stuff like that. You can even go last season and watch some of the old matches, sort of the replays and stuff like that. You can go and watch highlights and stuff. So it's got all the stuff there as well as obviously the live match this weekend. And it's literally as easy as that. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. Apart from that, smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon. Right, and we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports, and the Rugby Fan Forum is back, and it's gonna get controversial in the next few weeks because it's Springbok season, it's national season, and this is the one where we really get to get stuck into a lot of interesting debates. We really get to enjoy a lot of a lot of different opinions, stuff like that. I'm very interested to see what the general feeling is about the Springbok team that has been announced. We usually do it on the Thursday, where we usually have the other teams to talk about. So unfortunately, being a Wednesday means we don't know what Argentina, Australia, New Zealand are going to look like this weekend. Although I must say that I haven't seen an Australian squad that's come to that look this strong in a while. So I think it's quite an exciting time. And I'm joined today by Cal in the middle there, and Reza, who's in the dark, and will hopefully be lit up a little bit. At the moment, he's looking a little bit grey, and that's not just because he's turning 30 tomorrow either.
That's slightly unnecessary, but
hey, we've got to throw it in there. We can get some happy birthday reasons. So if you're watching in the comments, feel free to drop a happy birthday, commiserations, whatever you do. It is the big 3-0 for Reza. If you're a rugby player, people would officially be starting to retire you on Twitter, eh?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Look,
That's me.
to be fair,
next year, so
yeah. I retired myself about 7 years ago, so
Fair enough.
Probably for the best.
It is always wild though that as soon as like a player turns 30, like if you were announced a new signing, everybody would be sitting there saying, "Oh, he's occupying a contract that could have been given to a young player. You know, we can't just keep bringing these old players." Meanwhile, I mean, like Graham Vermeulen's like going to be 37 on Saturday, captaining the Box. But
yeah. I mean, look, if you want to replace you with someone younger, we'll have to talk about that. But I think for now, I still hold up on camera, okay.
No, well, see, at the end of the day, it becomes like a wage thing. When people get to their 30s, they start looking for their retirement packages. So, we've got to go try and find some young 19-year-old who's on low wages.
Kenan Moody.
Yeah, probably can't afford his wages though. We have to take the Lions strategy. Either we have to find some 19-year-old nobody, or else we have to find someone who is like close on 40 and literally looking for like any last cent to go into the savings.
Oh yeah, no, just sell me onto the Bulls. They'll take me.
There we go. There we go.
Steve,
Yeah.
I'm sure you could convince Andy Good to come out of retirement.
Wow. Jeez. Yeah. I'm sure Andy Good wants to come out of retirement. I'm not sure he's physically able to, though. It's two different things.
He wasn't physically able to before he retired.
Listen, be respectful. The man's only 43. We can get him back and going.
Yes, wow.
Got another 10 years in him.
Yeah, to be fair, and also I'm glad you mentioned the Bulls. I actually want to chat a bit about them and the fact that if we're being brutally honest, their recruitment this window is wild, and I'm actually very upset about it because they are recruiting lots of players in all the positions where I'm going, that solves a problem for them. That solves another problem for them. So we'll have to start talking about the Bulls a little bit. But for everybody that is watching, put your comments in the chat. The big question that we were asking is, have we named a strong enough side to beat Australia? Is it a B team? Some people saying it's a B team. Well, some Australian journalists were basically trying to sort of imply that it's a bit of a B team. Rusty Russ was taking quite the opposite approach and saying, in fact, the split squad approach actually shows how much they respect Australia and they want to be competitive in both the Australian game and the All Blacks game. And with all the travel arrangement, this is the best way to do it. So, Reese, I'll go to you first for the experienced opinion. Is it the B team, and more importantly though, what did you think of the side, and is the side strong enough to beat Eddie Jones's Australia?
Again, so as you know, at the time of recording this, we don't actually know what squad Eddie is going with on Saturday. So for me, that is a big one. And so part two of your question, I can't actually answer. I think that's a fair assessment. To say that they would beat Australia, no matter what squad they put out, I think is a bit harsh, and I'm definitely not willing to make that call at the moment. I think if Australia puts out their strongest side, I do think that they go into this match as favourites, and I've got no qualms saying that. But at the end of the day, this is Test rugby, and these are players who have been selected going into a World Cup year that should be getting the job done. And so, with that in mind, as I look at this team, none of these names really surprise me. I think we're just so used to having such a consistent side for the last couple of years. And there is a bit of the shock factor that it's being done, in my opinion, a little late in a World Cup year, that we're starting to experiment a little bit. That everyone's going, oh, this is a B team. I don't think it's a B team. I think it is an inexperienced team. And for that reason, I don't think it's disrespectful. I don't think it's as the media is trying to make it out to be. The media have to talk about something. I mean, it's the start of Rugby Championship. It's a World Cup year. They're going to make it a bigger deal than it is. But yeah, it's definitely not the strongest side we have, but it's also exactly what we should be doing. We need to experiment a little bit. We need a little bit of difference here and there. And I don't know, maybe Australia just feel disrespected. That's completely their opinion. I don't think it is. I think we could have thrown in some really Hail Mary names if we were really going down that route.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm planning on asking Eddie that very question, because it was an Australian journalist which sort of suggested that maybe they are not showing Australia the respect or whatever. I'm pretty sure when I do ask Eddie Jones tomorrow morning whether that's what they think, I'm pretty sure the answer will be, not at all. Because at the end of the day, whilst it might not be the strongest side, any side that has Peter Steph Toy, former player, World Rugby Player of the Year, Dwayne Muir, man of the match in the World Cup final. Lekanya was in line to be one of the nominations for World Player of the Year last year at 13. Now we've got Stephen Kitsop in that front row with Bongi Manami and France Maherba, so it's probably our strongest front row. And like the likes of Billy LaRue, they're still world class players in that side. It's just not the usual suspects. Carl, what was sort of your initial reaction to the squad?
I mean, despite not being, as you say, your first strength side, my initial reaction was thank fuck England's not playing them, because we'd still fucking lose. It's weird. Like I think it's as you say, it's probably a bit late to be testing something so new. I think it's they have to give Mani Livock a go. Like they've played themselves into a position where they don't have a choice. And so now it's literally, but I think it's actually going to be a shitload of pressure on him because if he doesn't shine, they're going to be like, okay, fuck, we have to go back to normal, and that might put a lot of pressure on South Africa because Willemse's probably not an out and out 10. I love him at 15, but
12,
um,
12, 12,
or 12,
12.
but
Did him cook.
Esterhuizen being there. I like Esterhuizen being at 12.
Yeah.
Another reason why I'm glad England's not playing them, because I'll just be like, oh fuck, we don't have any good 12s. Well, we have one, but we consistently play him at 13 for some reason.
You gotta make way for Faz. Faz just, to be fair, that whole England thing, I don't know what they're gonna do with England, but that's a whole different story. But I get your point.
It's literally a campaign built on hope. That's all we fucking
just
have.
just vibes.
That's all we have. No, I look, I'm glad to see Reinach starting, because I mean that's been a long time coming. I think.
Yeah.
You officially have literally the two fastest scrum halves in the fucking world.
Yeah.
So
no, it's mental.
just at worst comes to worst, chuck them on the wing, and you'll score a bunch of tries anyway.
Yeah, that point to that somebody else said, saying that there are teams out there that wish their wings were as fast as the two scrum halves this weekend, and it is very true,
right.
because they are frighteningly quick. And Grant Williams always plays himself down, saying no. Kirkley, Kurbis, and Mapimpi are the fastest ones in the squad, and everybody else is like no. Like apparently in training, Grant is just untouchable.
Well, did you see that there was an article that came out a couple of days ago, and it was who's the fastest Springbok, and everyone from all the training and everything, everyone was saying that it was Spu Nkosi.
Yeah, apparently at
holds
top
the
speed when
fastest
he got going, he was superly fast.
Sure. That is surprising, but
he was I think like 0.12 behind ahead of what's his name, Colby.
There we go.
Wow.
There we go.
Yeah, very surprising that.
Look, there's one thing that the Boks had this weekend is a lot of pace in most places. So it's gonna be interesting. But let's talk a little bit about Moni Liebach, and I think that it's an interesting because at the end of the day, he is the beneficiary of the Alton Yankee situation. This Bok management team do not move away from a norm. They do not change the plan. They had to change the plan because of the situation. I think if we're being brutally honest, that Alton Yankee's not done what he done. I think Liebach might have maybe gotten a one appearance at that Autumn Nations last year. And I don't think that he would have been starting this weekend. I think that Alton Yankees was very much a second choice, and they would have gone and said, cool, straight back to him, if not Damien, and I don't think they would have changed it a year out. So it's amazing how something like that can happen, and all of a sudden you've got Moni Liebach, which some people are saying, well, he has to start, which he's not going to when it comes to when Pollard is back, and nor should he. Well, you can debate whether he should or should not. What I will say is that I've been quite critical of Pollard in the past, but the season as England is finally looking like, the Andre Pollard that we all know can picture up. And at the end of the day, Test rugby is, suits a really solid flower half, especially with the Boks, the way the Boks play. He is the best solution. But Liebach on Saturday, Reese, what can we look forward to, and how much do you think he'll be restricted by the game plan? The Boks always say that they like players to express themselves, but we all know that it has to be within the overall game plan. How much license do you think he has to do what he wants to do?
I'm not actually more worried about Moni himself as a player, and I think everyone's still got perhaps the URC final in their minds, and I think that's a completely unfair.
Especially when he won it a year ago. Like, everybody seems to have forgotten that part.
Yeah, it's a completely unfair narrative, and he was up there with player of the tournament and all those kind of things, and he is absolute class. Let's be very clear about this. And for me, he is very, very much deserving of his second straight spot behind Pollard. What I am concerned about is not that whether he has license or flair or whatever the case is. I think that he is capable of adapting his game. He will fit into the structures perfectly. I think the real issue comes in is that this combination for this particular game is a bit strange. And I don't know how fast he's going to be able to adapt to this. I see this, this Reinach-Liebach partnership must be new. I cannot remember a time where they've come together. The same thing goes for the Esterhuizen-Liebach partnership. And those are things that it's quite hard. I mean, to be honest, to walk into that and have new players on either side of you is not an easy thing to do.
I think he might have played a game or two with Esterhuizen at the Sharks. They would have been there at the same time, but it's an interesting idea. I actually didn't even register that part.
This is quite a while ago.
Oh yeah.
When they had, and even then, when he was at the Sharks, he wasn't first string either. At that point. So, I really do. I look at these combinations and I go, that's really where the problem is there. And I think that if it is a poor performance, some real analysis needs to go into, or maybe we need to kind of a bit of a break, in terms of fitting into a system where the other guys are a bit new to him. Having said that, I really do think that Reinhock's very experienced. He'll make any fly off in the world feel comfortable around him. And Andre Esterhuizen has been fantastic for the last couple of years. He is biting at the bit to get at these guys. And I think that as long as they put him onto the ball, or actually really all Monty needs to do is make sure he feeds it to Esterhuizen, and make sure he does exactly what he does best, and that is crash ball, and allow them to get sucked in, and then he can he can use his own flair later on, when they're too busy looking at Esterhuizen thinking that he's going to bite their heads off every time he gets the ball.
Yeah, I think having 110 kg inside center next to you is always going to calm your nerves a bit. Especially two things. Obviously, they're going to target him, so whenever he gets the ball, that there's going to be plenty of players who are going to be running in that channel at him, both when he's getting the ball and when he doesn't have the ball. So the nice thing is he does have a decent, if an emergency break glass, just hand the ball to your auxiliary flag next to you, who will flatten a few people. I think what's also quite nice about Esterhuizen is he's developed a very good kicking game as well. So we know that we generally will kick off 9 most of the time. So I think that takes a certain amount of pressure away from D-Lock, where I don't think he'll have to take too much responsibility with regards to the tactical kicking. But Reinhock will take a lot of the responsibility, and he can, if he needs to, go to Esterhuizen outside of him, who just have a big boot. We speak about combinations, and I think for me, I'd like to almost sort of look at almost all the individual combinations. But before we go to the forwards, Esterhuizen and Lukhanyo, we saw this combination, Carl, for the Sharks, and this will bring you in, ripping it up, a couple of years ago before COVID and stuff, all sort of brought that season to a close. I think a lot of people were quite surprised that Lukhanyo was playing this weekend and not JC Creel, and that Lukhanyo hadn't gone over to New Zealand with the first stringers. But I suppose, 2 Bulls players on the wings, for example, 2 former teammates in the centres, there are certain combinations which are new, but fairly tried and tested in the midfield. And do you think those two will complement each other quite nicely?
I think they can. Like, obviously, they've had a fair amount of time playing together. They know each other fairly well because of that. I would suspect that Lukhanyo actually went to this match because he's also an option as a captain. And if Vermeulen gets injured, I reckon he'd probably be the second choice captain. But I think Am's been really strange. Like, he's always classed for the box, yet he's been decisively average for the Sharks this year. But then again, that's just because the Sharks are absolutely shit. And he I don't know, like, his form always reminds me of JP Peterson, because JP Peterson was the laziest arsehole I've ever seen playing for the Sharks, but goddamn did he play rugby for the fucking Springboks.
Poor JP, catching strays.
Hey, JP seemed like, whoa, what did I do wrong? I'm tired.
And to be fair, I love JP Peterson, but God, I've never seen a player run less on the wing than for the Sharks.
His legs were so long that, his one stride was everyone's 3.
No, I like it, and obviously, he played for the Sharks. They both have or do, and I was pissed off when we let him go because he was suddenly playing really well, and it was just like, well, I'm off now. I'm like, oh, great, thanks.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I don't know. Obviously, wait for the other squad to come out, but there's a shitload going on in that back line. Like, as you say, Esterhuizen just run over the top of literally anything that moves, and Am will either kick it around you or he'll put someone else into space out of the back. So there's a shitload of flair in this Bok team, which is uncharacteristic. And I'm hoping that it's weird. Like, once I actually feel like I'm supporting the Springboks. Like, I've always had a bit of a.
Well, you want to win World Cups, you know where we are, eh?
Just because I lived in South Africa for so long and supported England throughout that time, just trust me, life was pretty shit. Considering we went through fly halves like Shane Garrity.
Tough times.
Sometimes the last thing.
So, but like for once, I actually feel like I'm actually. Well, obviously, I still support England, but I actually feel like supporting South Africa as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. Just to go on your point there, I mean that combination you were talking about, I don't think there's really much to worry about there. I mean, Andre Esterhuizen and Dialendi are not too far apart stylistically, and I think the player you want to feel most comfortable there is and I think since he's got someone on the inside of him who's pretty much doing the same thing, I think he'll flourish.
I wouldn't say that South Africa would do very well with Esterhuizen and Creel partnership. I think it's
No,
I
that
think
lacks
I
total
think
creativity.
well,
No,
I have strong feelings about Creel, but yeah.
I like Creel. I just don't think he wouldn't make sense in that partnership.
I think
I mean that makes sense.
defensively, I think those two would be pretty next level. They're both really good.
They'd be solid, but
defensive
they wouldn't get anything done.
True.
But and speaking of speaking of combinations, is the wings are interesting, and I actually want to bring this into it. There has been a lot of Makazole Mapimpi slander on Twitter and stuff, and people talking about the fact that with Curtly Orange, so we finally have a proper 11. You can finish,
No,
you
I don't
can
like
trade
that.
things and stuff like that, which is a big shout. It's a big shout. I think that's quite. I think Mapimpi for me is starting to show a bit of his age. I don't think he's as quick as he was a couple of years ago, but for me, still does a lot of things very very well. But Curtly Orange is someone who after the breakthrough season he had is banging the door down to potentially be a starter. And then Caden Moody, who was an injury replacement last year, and we kind of went, oh well, he's young, he's had a good season, so I suppose they kind of want to cap and bring him into the squad. But I don't think anybody really expected him to become a bit of a mainstay. And all of a sudden, he's getting a start this weekend, and he's part of the squad. Where are we sitting with our wings? I mean, obviously, I think we probably take three of them. So I think one of either Kirkley or Caden Moody will go to the World Cup. I don't think it'll be Moody, but do you think that Kirkley is genuinely pushing Mapimpi for a starting spot if we were to have a World Cup final tomorrow? We're playing Kirkley ahead of Mapimpi, or is the Mapimpi slander unjustified?
Wow. I assume you're directing this at me first. Well, so if you're asking the question, if a World Cup final were to happen tomorrow, who would start? Kirtley or Mapimpi? I would go Mapimpi at this point in time. I think that there's going to be a lot of change in this, as Kirtley's going to be that guy who's going to start or be heavily involved in the easier games, and Mapimpi will be saved for the harder ones. But I think that a lot rides on how he performs, Kirtley, in those earlier games. And I really do think that they won't really know up until final time, should they get there, who is actually going to be the starting guy. And I think it's going to be quite a form call. I really don't think that Mapimpi has cemented his spot. And don't get me wrong, I don't buy into the slander, and I don't think that he's done anything wrong. It's just that Kirtley has just been that good, that unfortunately can't be ignored, and just because you're operating at 75-80% all the time and someone comes along and is operating at 90%, obviously there's going to be questions asked. But yeah, to say that Mapimpi has lost his spot is it's just unreasonable.
Carl, are you agree with that?
Yeah, I think also I would certainly base that on who I'm playing against. Obviously, easier, harder game. I'd take it more on what that opposition's game style is. Like if they're a very strong attacking side, Mapimpi's defense is quite good, and he's a bit. I mean, let's be honest, he's not exactly big.
He's bigger.
He's bigger.
Yeah. Look, listen. What I will say is, having spent a lot of time in the squad, there are certain players that you will pass and you go, yep, that oak is very scary. Yep, I will not pick a fight with that. And there's certain people where you're like, that oak is small. Like not for rugby, he's just small. And Kirtley walks around and you sit there going, he's small, and he does a great job with the size. I mean, it doesn't impact him, but he is small.
And there, so many world-class players have shown that doesn't mean anything really, and it's strange. But I also think if when Colby comes back in, then how do you structure it? because if you don't play him at fullback, which chances are, like against a team like England, you wouldn't, because Stewart is about 3 times his height. But then you have Arnser and Colby on the wings, literally the smallest wings in existence, but they will dance the fuck around you. So it's very strange. It's a tough one.
Yeah,
I don't think that they would start together. I think it would have to be one and Mapimpi.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think they might have started together last year against France, if I'm not mistaken. But because they did start together once. But it is an interesting sort of dynamic. And it's the fullback debate. I mean, everybody keeps talking about Ches and Colby at fullback. I don't think Colby's an option at fullback, to be perfectly honest. For as long as Damien Willemse and Billy Leroux are fit, I think that's your fullback 1 and 2. I don't think we'll move away from that. Yes, Colby's got a lot of it. We all know how devastating he can be on the counter attack at fullback, but we want a ball playing fullback. We want someone who can link up with the backline stuff. And whilst Colby's playing at 10, he can do that role to a certain degree. Not at the same level that Damien Willemse and Billy Leroux does. And let's be honest, Billy Leroux to this day still is incredibly important to the box. As much as everybody dislikes him and everybody sits there saying how he's still playing Billy, the box are better when he plays. That's just a fact, unfortunately, but that's just the reality. So I think the whole wing dynamic is going to be very interesting. I want to move to the pack. It's a very strange pack because it's a very good front row, especially, I mean, it was already a good front row with Ox and Chair, but now Stephen Kitzel coming in on the back of one of the best seasons I've seen him play in a long time. Then a new block combination, Jean Klein getting a start next to Marvin Ory. Marco Starden, PSF Toy, Dwayne Vermeulen. Some people are worried about the pace or the lack thereof in that loose chair, that they're not the most mobile forwards. It's interesting how a lot of people are saying, there's with no, Khaleesi or no Kwagga Smith and no Dion Fourie, it's quite a slow loose chair, and yet 2 years ago, nobody wanted Kwagga Smith around because he was too small. So interesting how that all changes. But Riza, talk me through the pack. What are we thinking in terms of the entire makeup of it?
So I've got concerns in one particular area, so I'm going to fly through this relatively quickly. But our type 3, I've got no issues with at all. I think that's tried, tested, and any combination at this point is pretty solid. I don't think anybody's really raised too many questions around that area in terms of selection. It is a pity about Ox. I'm sure we'll get onto that in a second about his, World Cup aspirations now following this injury and just how serious it might be. Bongi, of course, still in there and deservedly so. Francois Herber, fine. So interestingly, Jean Klein and Marvin Ory. On top of the fact that Marvin Ory has never been a fan favorite. To be very perfectly honest, everyone rates him as the sturdy, the solid, the non-exceptional. And John Klein, this is an interesting one. It's fascinating. It's nice to see that the box are able to adapt and select someone from outside and perhaps put a bit of pride away in selecting him. But I do stress a little bit about what Australia comes out with for this particular game. Obviously, Will Skelton will likely be one of the other ones. And there was, sorry, I forget his name now. The other starting lock is also an absolute unit.
Richie Arnold.
Starts.
Richie Arnold.
Yeah.
Richie Arnold. And I saw some media clips as of about that to say that, well, I think they were asked the question, are you going to be intimidated?
Yeah, they asked Marvin.
Yeah, they asked Marvin about it. And I'm sure that Marvin will be revving to go to prove them wrong. But it is a valid concern. They are absolutely frightening human beings to go up against. Marvin is not known, and neither is Jean, to be honest, for their line-out steals. So I'm excited to see what happens in those line-out situations. Of course, we've got Peter Steff, we've got Dwayne going up as well. But that's where my concern lies for this weekend. Marco van Staden, yeah, I'm not really too sold on him. I think that, again, a strong, sturdy player, perhaps need a couple of those in your team. I would have preferred to see like a Kwagga there or something, but it is what it is, and he's there now. I'm sure he'll do a solid job. But again, I don't expect him to be exceptional. He's never with a player that at the end of the game you go, wow, he's in consideration for man of the match, in my opinion. Peter Steff, Dwayne Vermeulen, they speak for themselves. There's really not much more to say about them. They will have a huge part on top of their normal gameplay. They will have a huge part to play in terms of leadership. And so, yeah, the two of them. Steven Kitsoff obviously comes in, but I guess that originally he wasn't supposed to be in. So I guess it was supposed to be Peter Steph, Dwayne, and Lucanio, who were really supposed to be taking the lead here. And Villy, obviously, as the experienced Nat in the background, as he always is.
Yeah. No, it's. I think most of the you spot. Look, I think Marvin Ori, I think our lineups will be very solid, and I think we'll almost guarantee our ball with him because I think he does pull a lineup incredibly well. And I think what's quite important is I'll be surprised in many ways. People talking about the fact that we're gonna have a Jean-Claude Arceus name and combination later in the match with Joseph Dweber coming off the bench. I don't think that they'll sub Marvin Ori. I think he'll go the distance because I think that they'll want Marvin calling in the lineouts with Joseph Dweber. Two players, a player who has struggled with lineouts to be able to have the lineouts, with the person he plays with every single week, and their lineouts to get a lot better. So it'll be interesting to see if Arcus Neyman does place Marvin, or if he does go does replace Sean Klein, for example.
Don't you think that might also be situational? Considering if we get to that point in the game and it looks like we're dominating and or getting thumped, that they may just say, well, we know what Marvin and we know what we ever do together.
Yeah.
Let's try something a little different.
Well, I think the biggest thing is for me, and again, the whole thing, and Carl bring it to that whole win the game and what can we learn? We know what Marvin Ori is. We know it, and he's not a fan favorite. I think you're quite right in saying that. I used to get very frustrated with him at Lions because we watched this saying he's a player there, but his discipline was really poor, and he used to do a couple of silly things. I think his discipline's improved a lot with the Stormers. I don't think he's ever going to break the door down. He's not an Ebenet Smith. He's not an Arceus Neyman, but he's a proper, solid, hard-working lock. So you know exactly what you're going to get from him every single match. He'll very rarely let you down. He just might not set the world alight. I think for me, the biggest one that we're watching this weekend is, can Jean Klein be a genuine deputy for Evan Etzebeth? Because that is the one player. And look, I mean, it's not exactly easy to replace one of the best locks in the modern era, But whenever Evan Etzebeth is injured, we are suddenly going, shit, now what? Because we just don't quite necessarily have that number 4, which is the enforcer that can sort of bring that physicality. So I'm very interested to see how Jean Klein goes against what's probably going to be 140 kg, 127 kg. I mean, we could be talking about facing a lock pair, and that could be 270 kgs, in total, and both well over 2 meters. So I mean, it is silly how big the Australian locks are. But Carl, how much do you think? As we just sort of talk about sort of that situation, how much do you think, especially with the 6-2 split as well, how much how much emphasis do you think we should be putting on winning the game versus we're ahead or we're slightly behind? If we did this, we get a better chance of winning the game. But at the same time, we want to see this combination. We want to see how this player can play in this position.
I think, especially with, as we were talking about, untested partnerships or partnerships that haven't been done with that kind of fly half. I think right now, more experience is going to be far more important than any win. I think they'll learn more from a loss anyway. Not that I'm saying they should go out and lose.
Yeah.
But talking about the forwards, as you were saying, they're not going to set the world on fire. That actually might be the plan, because at this point, it looks like they are testing a new backline, and so they want the forwards to do a very specific job and set a very solid platform. They're not expecting, right, let's see what you do, and we know you're going to do this amazing crap, so the backline can feed off it. I think they are. I think in a way they're preparing to be matched in the forwards, and it's almost like a bit of pressure on the backline, right? How are you going to deal with it now that our forwards have been matched?
Yeah,
it's an unlikely scenario, but if it happens, South Africa have to have a way of dealing with it.
No, exactly. And at the end of the day, injuries are a thing.
Looking that way.
And we've started to see, and so I want to move to the Oxen chair. And before I do, we'll move to the Oxen chair thing. So this is why we're talking about combinations being so important. Sia Khaleesi, for example, touchwood at this stage, is on track, should be back August, should be good for the World Cup. If he's not, who is our starting number 6? Now, personally, I think all of a sudden, Kwagga Smith has found himself, as the front runner in that conversation right now. But their injuries do happen, and I think we do need to be quite honest. Ibn Etzebeth, for example, is only coming back next week, and whilst he is a player that gets going, by the mere sight of a rugby field, if he's injured, all of a sudden, who is your number 4 option? Are we looking at Jean-Luc Dupré, or are we looking at Jean playing? And what are the options there? So it is an interesting thing. Now, on the whole injury thing, Oxenchair has now been ruled out of the Rugby Championship. Apparently, he's got a pectoral injury and is out for several weeks. So we don't know if several weeks means 3, 4, is going to be back mid-August. But it's funny how we always talk about how our incredible prop depth, and yet all of a sudden we're one injury away from not having a single out-and-out loose-head prop in the squad, apart from an uncapped Steenkamp who's come through. Reese, first of all, how... we all know how important Steven Kitshoff is all of a sudden, but how do we manage this Oxenchair injury with regards to, you want to keep giving Kitshoff game time and keeping him up to the standard. We also can't afford to lose him. And were you surprised that Intuku, for example, was not called up, who played last year, got his capped, and instead they've gone with an uncapped player in Steenkamp 2 months away from the World Cup?
Yeah, it is interesting. I suppose they weren't quite expecting the Ox injury, but at the same time, the feeling that I got from the camp was that they're not particularly too concerned about this, and they feel quite strongly that even, I think, actually, to be very honest, even if Kitshoff does something tomorrow, touch wood, but I really do think that whoever comes in his place is actually going to be able to be cushioned a little bit by who surrounds him. The hookers and obviously the tight heads are still incredibly stacked, and so to say that one Lucy is possibly going to bring the whole system down, it is possible, entirely possible. But I think that it's not just about the player base here; it's also about the way that those tight forwards are coached. That whoever comes in should be up to scratch after all the training camps. Although, as you said, he is new, and it is an interesting decision to have brought Steenkamp in. I'm personally not worried about it. I think they're going to handle this depth issue pretty well. And to be honest, I really don't think that anybody else in the entire world has 2, 3, or 4 international standard tighties of the same caliber, and we've been blessed with at least 3. So this is not a problem unique to us. It might just be our positional issue on the day, but someone else will have no fly-offs available come the World Cup. Someone else is going to have no 8th wins. It's going to happen, and unfortunately, in one position there will always be a weak link, so to speak. But again, I'm not too particularly concerned about it.
Yeah, well, fair enough. So yeah, and the nice thing, you got Trevor Nyakane and Thomas Toy, for example, who do cover Lucid. In fact, I'm very surprised we're not seeing Trevor Nyakane this weekend. The fact that we got an injury to Oxenchair and he still hasn't come into the 23 for me is very surprising, because I think that, you go back to that British and Irish Lions series and that year, and I thought that Trevor was playing some of the best rugby I've seen. I know he hasn't had the best of seasons, hasn't given as much game time as we would have liked him to have at Racing, and didn't play as much for the Box last year, but I'm still very surprised we haven't seen more of Trevor. Well, we haven't seen the fact that Trevor's going to feature. I'd be interested to see if he does go to New Zealand, whether the plan might be actually to unleash him there, or whether he will actually only play maybe against Argentina. Something else I want to talk about is the whole captaincy thing. Now, the Box management were quite open and said it's not hard picking a captain. We've got a very large leadership group. At the end of the day, we like to have our captain close to the referee, so a loose forward, a scrum half, fly half, for example, someone who is just literally geographically close to the referee and can communicate with them. They also said that communication with the referee is something that they're very intent on improving this year after the stigma that we have been labelled with. So Dwayne Vermeulen takes over captaincy this weekend. Carl, there probably isn't a safer option anywhere in the world for someone who you just know will do it very well, and will, there just won't be any issues, is there?
Apart from maybe Sam Whitelock, who's also about as
Yeah.
old as time. Um, no, I mean, like, Jesus Christ, the guy's been around for a while, and yet I still wouldn't want to see him in a dark alley.
Yeah.
But yeah, South Africa's been working with quite a few referees recently. They had Nigel Owens, didn't they?
They wanted
They
Nigel
didn't like
Owens, and then he said no. Apparently, they haven't talked to Yaka Paper.
Okay, yeah, and I in that scenario, I think it's quite good for them to do that because what was it, 2011 when Bryce Lawrence ref that shocking semi-final,
Correct.
or was it a quarterfinal? I can't remember. But as much as he was let's be honest, an absolutely shit referee, the Springboks didn't adapt to what he was doing, and that's why they lost the game. If they changed how they played to suit that, they might have won. It would have still been shit, and I think they don't want to get caught in that again.
Yeah,
because it can derail your whole World Cup just because that guy doesn't agree with what you do.
Yeah, I think it is something we've been guilty of not being able to do well enough in the past, being able to sort of understand and adapt and say, okay, this is the issue. The referee's doing this. We need to actually adapt our way. And I think also the way you communicate with the referee is also so important. I think it's something that Adam Jones, I thought, always did so well, is he had such a good rapport with the refs, and he could always. And look, everybody hates Johnny Sexton, but he's got that rapport. He's got the thing where he can always add that extra comment. He can toe the line a lot further than other people can. Which is why
I doubt he can anymore.
No, listen now. Yeah. Sexton's blown it. He's full on done. That ship has flown. But the best captains
I think we must be very clear though about what is rapport and what is almost borderline bullying. But I think a guy like Richie McCaw had great rapport with refs. He always managed to be the out and out gentleman and get them to listen in that way. You talk about the Alan Jones and the Johnny Sexton. Not that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying different styles got different results. Quite aggressive, yeah. And it's always seemed a bit forceful. And that's when everyone was saying, oh, it seemed like Sia was getting a bit cowed by opposition captains, and couldn't quite get a word in over them. And it's because, well, Sia's an opposite style. He's not that. And different styles for different refs get different results on different days. And so on another day, as you've seen quite recently, Sia does get results from certain refs in certain situations where that almost gentlemanly passive mannerism seems to actually win the ear of the ref more than likely. And the ref almost seems to stand up for him to the point where he's pushing opposition teams away so you can listen to what Sia's actually got to say.
Yeah.
And that also perhaps a bit of the media playing a role there as well, saying that, well, refs are ignoring Sia. And I'm sure that's, as much as they try to not listen to that, it must get into their heads. They don't want to be seen to be ignoring the inspirational Springbok captain.
He's like the biggest name in world rugby next to Anton de Pont by like a miles.
Yeah. But yeah.
No, it's an interesting aspect of the game, and I think it is something that's becoming. And I think especially, it's not the refs' fault, it's not the team's fault, but there is so many grey areas at the moment with the laws, and the way that they are being judged and the way that they are being implemented. That I think playing the referee has now become a very integral part of any game plan. It's not just, well, this is the law, play to the law. It's right. Well, this guy tends to let this go. He tends to watch this. You do actually have to play the referee quite intelligently, unless you're playing Super Rugby, in which case the laws don't exist and you can do whatever you want. And we only had to go and look.
And that's why it's so good.
And you only had to go look at the ridiculous non-red card for Anton Leonard-Brown in that Super Rugby final to demonstrate just how the Super Rugby is officiating is just nonsensical. It almost doesn't exist actually. But let's talk a little bit about the Rugby Championship. Now it's an interesting year. It's a 3-week championship. It's pretty short. You win 3 games. You win it. Let's be honest. The Rugby Championship traditionally is about if you can beat New Zealand. That has always kind of tended to be the case. We generally sort of assume these days. I think with Argentina, you're definitely not the Argentina of old. But you always sort of assume, right, well, we'll probably be Argentina. We should beat Australia. The question is, can we beat the All Blacks? Now, for me, this is going to be an interesting Rugby Championship because of the way that the fixtures are structured. The New Zealand only have 1 home game. Australia and South Africa have the two home games, and Argentina are away for 2 as well. and New Zealand have got South Africa at home, so they do have their hardest fixture as their home fixture, which I suppose helps them. But at the end of the day, as well, the two easy fixtures they have are now away, which makes it more difficult for them. And Australia play the Box away, which is a difficult fixture, but then they have Argentina and New Zealand both at home, back to back as well. So I think it's gonna be a very interesting rugby championship from that regard, in that certain sort of advantages have almost been nullified by home ground and travel and stuff like that. Um, is this genuinely a rugby championship that could go to any four sides? Are Australia contenders, for example? Argentina are the inspirational Argentina that can beat anybody on their day through just pure passion, and often a Pablo Montero, Marcus Kramer masterclass. But Carl, is how open is this rugby championship, especially with New Zealand maybe not having had their best year last year, and then we just don't even know what to expect from Australia.
The funny thing is, not knowing what to expect from Australia is probably their biggest strength right now, especially with Eddie Jones there. He might actually do something. Who fuck knows? But I mean, I do like their players, and for once, I'm like, actually, you know what? I can actually watch Australian rugby. For I think a good 10 years of the last Super Rugby years. If it was an Australian derby, fuck me, I'm not watching it, because Christ, it's boring.
Yeah.
But now the Brumbies are playing really well. The Reds have their moments, and the Waratahs are not great at the moment, but they have some very good players. I'm very keen to see the loose trio battle against South Africa, because they've got some big names coming out there now. Australia have found some really good players, like what's his name, Fraser McWright.
Fraser McWright,
He's
yeah.
class.
Yeah, the Hooper.
The other Hooper, and I'm assuming Valentini's going to start most likely.
Yeah,
and they're bloody good. So it'll be interesting. I think it depends who they field. I mean, I think Australia do have a good shout at winning this game. I have a feeling it's not going to be a big point scoring game. I think it'll probably come down to a couple of penalties. New Zealand's a funny one, because I have a feeling they'll probably beat South Africa and Australia and then lose to Argentina. So I don't know.
To be fair, it'll probably be very New Zealand to lose to Argentina first. Everybody go, oh, that's a nightmare, and then go, yeah, back to back.
And then they'll beat like South Africa and not Australia by 50 or something like that. Ridiculous. Like, I really hope that Sean Stevenson actually gets some game time, because I can't believe he's not there as a starting player. He's there for injury cover.
Yeah.
And yes, Mark Lear deserves to be there as well. It just shows that how fucking ridiculous their back three is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's. I mean, just to give my thoughts on that as well. I think that, to start with New Zealand, I think that the southern countries are the only ones who have consistently never underestimated New Zealand. I think you go into kind of Northern Hemisphere rhetoric of the last couple of years when they've been struggling. They're the only ones. I mean, we keep very quiet about New Zealand's struggles, because I don't care. They could they could lose two years and
they're still, for me, one of the World Cup favorites. They still be in that top four players teams that could win the World Cup.
Yeah.
They could win 50% of their games in 2 years before World Cup, and I'd still go, yeah, no, I'm pretty terrified, and I think they've earned that right to be considered favorites in pretty much everything they ever go into, and it is interesting. I feel like the dynamic of Super Rugby having obviously changed is a huge one for me, because to be very honest with you, I'm actually not sure what we're coming up against. In New Zealand, having not watched a lot of Super Rugby myself now, I mean, if you had URC, I feel like these are entirely strange teams to me, and I'm getting a rude awakening that, I might have a Crusaders Lions situation again, and that's kind of how I feel. Like, I'm quietly confident getting into these games, but also just pretty much realizing that we might just get absolutely dumped as well. So I still think that New Zealand are favourites going into this tournament. I think they probably are likely to beat two, if not all of us, other three nations. I think that Australia are the dark horses, and I think that we're likely to have a bungle against Argentina because that's just what we do in rugby championships. For some reason, odd reason, only recently have we started to get the upper hand of them. So yeah, we don't necessarily ever do very well in rugby championships. I mean, we have done well it's because New Zealand have made a mess up somewhere, or Australia have gifted us done us a favour by disrupting them somewhere along the line. But we've never out and out dominated from start to finish. I don't expect anything too different this time around, although I do think that our purpose is, as we talked about earlier, not necessarily going out there to win. But I think it's important that we don't suffer the heavy losses.
Yeah.
We go out there and we lose by, I'd say 20 plus points to any of the three nations. I think that's not acceptable.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Guys, the Cheetahs won the Curry Cup, so South Africa's going to win.
Yeah, don't stress. We've been doing all the lucky omens down here. Don't you worry. We've been operating on beauty. Don't you stress. We've been operating down here.
Did we recently say that is the Curry Cup just a pointless fixture?
No, not in the World Cup yet. Not in the World Cup yet when the Cheetahs are in it to win it. No.
Then for superstition and nothing else.
Yeah.
Those Sangomas have been hard at work.
No, we're out to operate. Don't you stress. And Argentina is, Argentina is Argentina. We, one day they will beat us, the next day they'll lose to anyone. And I think that Michael Cheika has made them a much better side. But I still believe that South American passion can turn into ill discipline very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And I think they still have the capacity to implode. I do think they're getting a lot better with it. I think that there are certain players there. I think there's certain sort of figureheads in that squad who are getting quite good at being able to sort of calm people down and sort of reset. But they do have that implosion in them. When they play their best rugby, I tell you what, I'm very keen to watch that game in Argentina this weekend against New Zealand. They'll give them a good go. So yeah, in wrapping up, people, on the block stuff, score predictions for both games. Carl, we'll put you on the block first.
Thank you.
What do we say?
I don't see Australia scoring a lot of tries, but I do see them winning. So, 19-17 to Australia.
Right, close game. And then Argentina, New Zealand?
The thing is, I'm always wrong. I don't think I've ever called the score right.
Correct.
So
that's why I'm not challenging your prediction. I'm quite happy with
say New Zealand by 20.
Lovely work. And if those both don't come true, I'll be a very, very happy man.
The thing is, you could also say that I'm very good for betting because I'll always tell you what to do. There, just do the opposite.
Exactly.
Yeah, something like that.
And Reese?
I think this is quite actually. I'm going to go the opposite of Kalia for exactly as we said. High scoring affair. I think the other factor we haven't taken into account is that it is Loftus.
1,450 meters altitude. It matters.
Yeah, which is where the Boks have been training for the past month as well. So I think this is going to be quite high scoring. I'm going to go like 30-25 to the Boks.
Okay.
What did you say the altitude was?
I think it's 1,450 or 1,350. Yeah. There's a sign as you run out on at Loftus. There's a sign at the top of the tunnel which says altitude 1,000. I think it's 350.
But how much of that is the Australian logs?
Yeah,
so whatever it is at 100, that's what Will Skelton's going to be breathing. So good luck to him getting around that.
in the stratosphere.
Yeah. No, he's going to be. I mean, like the people sitting in the top tiers will be looking eye to eye with him, going, "What are you doing,
dude?" All right, and then the New Zealand game. I'm going to say like 27-12 to New Zealand.
Okay, well, I'm going to be a controversial then. I'm going to go Boks by 7, and I'm going to go to Argentina by 5. Los Pumas at home. The buggers are there. And the buggers are there. Dude, that Argentina side, when they start playing well, it's impossible not to like them, especially...
It's just when they started doing it to us recently, then I was like, nah, I'm out.
That
so
sucks.
Thanks for the ride,
sucks. And you're like, damn it, you're so cool, but bugger it all, just stop playing well against us.
Oh my god, have you seen their away kit? Oh my god. The
No,
away
but
kit
the-
Argentina
No, but
is
it's-
Oh, I haven't actually.
so nice.
But it's Argentina, guys. Like, when have you ever gone into a World Cup and not looked at the Argentina kit going, might have to invest. Speaking of World Cup
And-
kits, what do we
I
make
don't
of the
think I'll
Bok
ever use
kit?
it.
Greaser doesn't like it, so,
yeah,
and I'm just telling him he's
Steve-
wrong.
Yeah, Steve gave me a lot of crap about it, but I'm not a fan of the home kit. I don't think it's terrible. I just think I was expecting more. From
Yeah,
that.
it's not bad. It's just boring.
And I don't get the nipple braille that it's got. Just yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. As for the away kit though, very nice. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I could see myself getting one of those, but I
I
don't
quite
think
like
I'm,
the away kit.
yeah, I don't think I'm investing in the home kits.
Yeah, I think the away kit's quite a controversial one. I think you either love it or hate it. I think there's very few people sitting on the fence. I'm coming around to it a lot. I quite like it. A lot of people saying, it's a really nice kit, but it's just not the box. And I'm going, well, at the end of the day, the away kit's going to be white, or it's going to be white and black, and that, it can't be green, and it can't be, and we've never gone like full yellow, so I mean full gold, so we're not going to do that. So I think I don't mind them trying it, but something a bit different with that away kit. I'm actually.
Well, I mean, you're only going to wear. Really, chances are you're only going to wear the away kit once. If
Well,
that happens,
it's against
Ireland.
Yeah, then that's basically it.
And then
Although,
eventually
having
you're
said that, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the World Cup with regards to the whole color deficiency thing.
Colourblind.
Yeah, and whether we might see teams having to. So, for example, a lot of people saying that the All Blacks and the Springboks team with the color deficiency thing, and we had that debate earlier. So it'll be interesting to see if that actually is a thing in the World Cup, and whether
You might have a problem against Tonga as well with red and green.
Well, this is the thing. So, and Wales and Portugal. So, yeah, that's very cool. But anyway, people, thank you very much for joining us. I will be off to buy my Bok jersey on Friday. So
I like 100,000 rent.
Yeah, no, it's just, listen.
Yeah, thanks, Nike.
Yeah, and then the annoying thing is I go and design the shirt, the concept that they all use for the fake shirts, and do you think I get one? Do you think these guys go across and said, "Listen, we printed your fake design as the official shirt. Do you want one?" No, nothing. So I'm having to.
It's your own fault for not copywriting, bud.
You can't copyright what's already illegal, can you? That's what people said. I said, no, you should sue them. I'm like, well, I mean, what they're doing is incredibly illegal. I don't really want to put myself in bed with them and take on Nike and the box and yeah. So
They might not like you as a media presenter either.
No. So listen, you're the guy that designs the fakes. Yeah. How's this?
Yeah, no, not me.
Yeah.
Well, at least they can't confuse us, so I'm in the clear.
What?
And I'm far away.
Yeah, no, I think there's a slight color difference between us, Steve.
Hey, dude, the lights are off at the moment. We could be the same color skin at the moment. We wouldn't know. When your lights come on, then maybe
You mean
we
you're
can
not
confirm.
brothers?
Right now, you're just grey, dude.
Yeah, having said that, my power should have come on about an hour and a half ago, so I'm quite depressed.
Yeah, so you can go and enjoy that. Go and go and get invested in the details of the jersey and decide whether you like it or not. What it's interesting as well that that's not necessarily the World Cup jerseys. That is just the jerseys for the Rugby Championship, where they go for the same jersey for the World Cup. We wait and we see. People, thank you very much for joining us. It is a day early, but there's still a decent amount of attendance. We didn't get to too many comments, but yeah, good to see a couple of the old people back into the comments, stuff like that. I will be live tomorrow at 1:00. We've got the Daily News show tomorrow. We're going to be at Eddie Jones's press conference as well with Australia, finding out exactly what he's naming and what's going on there. And then in terms of content for the weekend, we'll be live for both Rugby Championship games. We're hoping to do Japan 15 versus the All Black 15, and we're hoping to be live for both the Junior World Cup games on Sunday, where what has been described as one of the worst junior Springbok sides in recent history are actually in the semis and taking on the Ireland, who are Six Nations champions, for a spot in that final. So it should be quite a cool weekend
Come on, the boys.
of rugby. Chaps, thank you very much. Reza, enjoy the dark. Carl, enjoy whatever a Scottish summer has for you.
Pretty nice.
Is it raining? Is it like more than 10 degrees? I mean, it's Scotland. Does it get more than 10 degrees?
Last summer we hit 32,
That's just cancel Christmas.
and it's only getting hotter year on year. We'll probably hit 34 this year.
Oh, well, we've got earthquakes and tornadoes
Not
down
for a
here,
while.
so yeah, things we're exactly falling apart. So enjoy that while it lasts, because
When is it not then?
No, wait, whoa,
Oh,
whoa.
yeah. All right.
And on
I
that,
love
on
it.
that
When
very
has it
cheerful
not?
note, people, thank you very much. Everybody else, please do subscribe to the channel. Please do smash like the video. If you're only getting to us now, you can rewind and watch the entire episode. It will be up there, and we will see you guys over the course of the weekend. Thank you very much, and see you guys soon. Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's preview, a lot of Pumas versus the All Blacks, Argentina versus New Zealand in Argentina. And Argentina was playing a bit of a bogey side for New Zealand. They have beaten them a couple of times in the last few years. And yet this is the first time they played them at home in a very long time. And it'll be interesting to see what that sort of mean. Because I think there's a certain amount of block that the All Blacks have to sort of start getting over. A couple of years ago, especially sort of pre-COVID. They were a side which would walk into a field against any team and expect to win, and that would generally be the case. The last few years, a couple of teams have managed to beat them, and therefore sort of that little bit of an aura, that sort of unbeatableness about the All Blacks is starting to sort of fade. And if they want to try and sort of become, I still think they're one of the World Cup favourites because they're the All Blacks, but they need to start re-establishing that aura, and going and beating Argentina in Argentina is a nice way to start doing that. As sort of Ian Foster continues to really find his strongest side. A couple of interesting selections from both sides. Before we look at the two teams, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. We'll start with the home side, which is Argentina. And quite an interesting team. A couple of big names on the bench. A big absentee in the likes of Marcus Kremer, who's out for suspended for the Rugby Championship due to a red card. And but it's an interesting side. So if you look at the front row, Thomas Gallo continues his sort of his international journey. He's somebody who's gotten up to grips very quickly and is growing in leaps and bounds. He's next to Julian Montoya, the captain, and Lucio Sordoni makes his first appearance in a while actually. He last played against New Zealand in 2020. And has sort of been on the fringes ever since, and is now back in the side and back in the starting lineup as well. Just the three caps to his name. In the second row, very experienced, Matthias Alemano and Thomas Lavanini, who is always a bit of a walking card, but does come with 78 caps, and we kind of know exactly what we get out of those two. So it's sort of pretty good tight five. Interesting to see how Sordoni goes. Pretty inexperienced props, but I think Thomas Gallo for me is very much the real deal. Speaking of the real deal, Pablo Matera in the number 6 jersey, Jean-Martin Gonzalez. I mean, the Springbok fans will know what he did to really last year, how exciting a player he is. And then Rodrigo Bruni at 8th man there. So no, Marcus Kremer is the big absentee. It would have been interesting to have seen. Probably would have seen Marcus Kremer in the 7. Matera potentially moving to the 8. Jean-Martin Gonzalez going to the 6, or they could have rejigged quite a lot there. Gonzalo Betrano will bring up his 50th cap when he runs out at starting number 9, and he's next to Santiago Carreras, who has one of my favorite players to watch. Not your traditional fly half, but very much doing a phenomenal job for Argentina, and very exciting type of player, especially when he gets going. The two wings, Mateo Carreras and Batista Delgui, not too much experience in the likes of Carreras, but Delgui's approaching that 30 cap mark, so decent there. Lucio Cinti continues his sort of rise in international rugby. He's next to the very experienced Matheus Moroni at outside centre. Then off the bench, the evergreen Augustin Clevi will be making his 98th appearance for his international side. And they need that experience because Michael Vivas and Eduardo Bello have just 27 caps between them. Very inexperienced bench. Pedro Rubio, for example, is playing just a second game in Argentina's shirt. Santiago Grondona making his 11th appearance. Basil Valles, Latura is also just the 3 caps for him, but thankfully a lot of caps in the likes of Nicolas Sanchez and Matthias Orlando on the bench, who will provide a lot of experience. I mean, Nicolas Sanchez making his 96th appearance, Orlando well over 50 caps as well. In terms of the New Zealand side, this is how they will line up. So it's an interesting side, and the big news for me is Damien McKenzie at 10. But they're missing quite a few players, and interesting to sort of understand the thinking behind them. There hasn't been much sort of an update on who is unavailable and stuff like that. But if you look at it, so in the front row, Ethan de Groot, Dane Coles, Tyrell Lomax, no Samasoni Takawao, who's quite a sort of big absentee in the number 2 jersey. So the very experienced Dan Coles will start there. Scott Barrett has got Josh Lord next to him. Josh Lord playing just his third test, so very much looking to sort of build that experience. I mean, at the end of the day, no Brody Vitalik or Sam Whitelock, but you know what you're going to get out of those two. For me, the issue, I suppose, with the All Blacks comes with how do you get those two and Scott Barrett into a starting lineup. The loose trio, Shannon Frizzell, Sam Cane, and Artie Sevilla, it's pretty tried and tested players, really. Sam Cane continues to captain as he continues to accumulate those caps. Artie Sevilla, one of the best number 8s in the world. Aaron Smith will make his 115th appearance as he continues to sort of become one of the most players of all time, really. But interesting enough, David McKenzie in at 10, and I think that's an interesting move. I think against Argentina it's a good move. And at the end of the day, 3 very good options at 10 in Beauden Barrett, Richie Mo'unga, and Damian McKenzie. And I'm very keen to see how McKenzie goes and whether they're looking at him as a bit of an ace up the sleeve, sort of going, well, we haven't been playing brilliant rugby the last few years, but so we need to cut something a bit different, and he can kind of maybe be that point of difference. Caleb Clark, Emoni Narawa, the 2 wings, Narawa on the bench. So interesting to see how he does go. Stevenson, for example, a lot of people very, very upset to not see him. No Mark Tellier, which is also quite a big absentee there. In the centre, Geordie Barrett, inside centre. I think that's where he will settle. Jack Goodhue playing for the All Blacks 15. Big Jack Goodhue fan, so I quite like to have seen him there. Enrico Awani, outside centre. I still think he's a better wing, but he settled outside centre, and that's the plan. Beauden Barrett will overtake Dan Carter as the second most capped All Black of all time, as he goes to 113 test, just 2 behind Aaron Smith. I think we all know that Beauden Barrett will probably finish as the most capped All Black of all time when he does hang up his boots. Then off the bench, Cody Taylor, Opatunga Fasi, Nepalua Lala, very, very experienced front row. So if things are going wrong with Ethan de Groot and Tyrell Lomax, who are not newbies to the environment, they can bring on some very experienced operators in the likes of Tunga Fasi and Lualala. Cody Taylor playing some very good rugby as well. Tupo Vai, Delta Papali'i, the other 2 reserve forwards. Then the exciting Finley Christie, Richie Mo'unga, and Braden Enna, who continues to sort of meteoric rise. Had a very good Super Rugby and is being backed in this game as well. Let me know what your score predictions are down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you soon. Greetings, good evening, hello, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for match number 2. As you can see, I'm looking a little bit bloodshot eyes, looking a little bit weathered. I'm also very full. I just ate far too much food on the back of that last stream. So, yeah, but we move. Welcome to the stream. It is the second game of the 2023 Rugby Championship. It is New Zealand taking on Argentina. And it is in Mendoza, which means Argentina are at home. And then they've never beaten New Zealand at home. Interesting. They've beaten them in Christchurch. They've beaten them in Sydney. Never, ever beaten the All Blacks in Argentina. And I tell you what, if there's ever a time, then tonight could be potentially the night. We just saw the player profiles. Two very interesting teams. A strong Argentinian side with quite an inexperienced bench. The All Black side are missing quite a lot of big names. No Sam Whitelock, no Brody Retallick, Bowden Barrett at fullback, Richie Mwanga on the bench, no Mark Tellier, for example. So a couple of sort of Samasoni Takawao, for example. So quite a couple of big absentees, I suppose. But it's still a pretty solid All Blacks team. At the end of the day, the All Blacks side needs to start finding some consistency, because last year they were beaten by, well, I mean, in the last couple of years, they've been beaten by Argentina, they've been beaten by Ireland twice, they've been beaten by South Africa, they've been beaten by Australia, they've been beaten by France. A lot of people have beaten them at the end of the day. And so they're starting to kind of lose that era. This particular All Black side is kind of starting to lose that it's the All Blacks we can't win type of reputation that they built over those many years. So a win in Mendoza will go a long way to sort of kickstarting their campaign. I'm obviously very much on the side of Argentina, who isn't really Luke Pierce, the man in the middle today. And Argentina will be playing right to left. They have got kick off. There has been a late change, by the way. So we saw the player profiles, but there is no Batista Dalgi. It will be Sebastian Cancelera who is in that right wing jersey. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. We've hit 30,000 subscribers. Let's try and see if we can push 31,000. Welcome to the stream. Rugby Championship action is underway as Carreras gets it underway. He goes down the right hand side, and there's an early touch for Geordie Barrett, who's in that inside centre today. All three Barrett starting, and it's Barrett to Barrett. First two carries, this time it's Scott Barrett getting involved there as they then go to Bowden Barrett. Damian McKenzie into the 10, and then the charge down. They're going to have to go, they're going to have to take a look. This could be the most mental start a game has ever seen. Damian McKenzie, in his first start in the 10 for quite a long time in a New Zealand shirt, might have absolutely butchered that. He's potentially been charged down, and this could potentially actually be a try, which would be the most mental start to a game ever. It could, I mean, it's either managed. I think it's. I mean, I don't think Bowden Matera was too confident. Who gets there first? Who gets there first? Damian McKenzie gets there first. Well, I'll tell you what, that's proper heart and mouth stuff from Damian McKenzie, because he almost stuffed that up big time. That could have been the worst possible start for New Zealand. It will be a goal line dropout. Brilliant early pressure on from the Argentinians. But let me know who you're supporting in the comments below. Give me your score predictions. We had a fantastic game earlier. The Box absolutely blowing away Wallabies. Now it'll be really cool to see if Argentina can have a go at the All Blacks. And it's a first carry over there for Mateo Carreras, one of the two Carreras in the team today. And going himself there, I think that was Santiago Carreras, the fly half. Now Sinti taking up the inside centre for Argentina. Big carry that came from Pablo Matera. Ooh, a little bit of a wraparound here. Long pass out wide to the man that came into the side, Sebastian Cancelera, who did slip slightly, but Argentina do maintain possession. And Carreras bringing in his captain, Julio Montoya. Now Carreras deciding to go to the boot. It's not great up and under, and it's going to be hard chased, and it's a good take in the end from Caleb Clark. And All Blacks have turned possession over. Aaron Smith, the base of the ruck, goes to Ethan de Groot. Shows and goes, but he decides to go himself. Brought down by Lavanini. Now Beauden Barrett at first receiver. Skips Avery McKenzie. They're throwing out wide. A bit of space out wide here. It's a good hit coming from Shannon Frizzell, but Argentina managed to scramble. Now coming back inside is the debutant Narawa. His first game as an All Black. Big tackle there coming on Ethan de Groot, and a big counter coming on Argentina as well. The ball coming loose, and Roden Barrett's going to have to go and clean up. Under a bit of pressure, shaped a kick, but decides to go himself. He is eventually brought down by Rodrigo Bruni. So really good early pressure here from Argentina. Aaron Smith now going back to Beauden Barrett in the pocket. I think it actually might be Geordie, I suppose it would be. Won't find touch. Can't find touch on the full. Now tip over the top to Chase. This could land. It's a really good take from David McKenzie. He goes out left towards Beauden Barrett. Beauden Barrett spots a bit of space. He wants to go himself. Pops it back inside. It's a dreadful drop from Geordie Barrett, his brother. And it will be an early set piece. Yeah, good early energy here from Argentina. You kind of expect it. The biggest thing for me with Argentina is that if they start well and they can get a couple of early tries or even a early try, but they start well and they're in the game, that energy continues. They are a side where if the going is tough, they sometimes can sort of switch off a little bit. But if they're in the game, the energy they bring throughout the game is very taxing. So it's important for them to start well. And they've got an early set piece here, attacking set piece, really. It's on the 10-meter line. It's still quite a long way out. And it is the Gonzalo Bertrano with ball in hand. It's a good scrum from Argentina. They go down the right-hand side. Bertrano and Perfetti pops it over. And David McKenzie decides just to mark it, playing it safe. They're not taking any more chances after he did have his first kick charged down. So probably the right idea there. So, yeah, just call the mark. Will be a 22 dropout here for David McKenzie. And not the best touch finder. So, it's not a bad result for Argentina. They've got a line out just past the 10-meter line. So, still a bit of an attacking opportunity for them. And it's competed and turned over, and it falls to Caleb Clark, who goes to Dan McKenzie, fires it short to Rico Awani. No, he's burst straight through. Here's goes Rico Awani. Now it goes to Narawa. Good tackle by Sebastian Cancelera. In fact, I think it's Carreras on that right-hand side, or left-hand side for Argentina. Now Dan McKenzie goes short to Dan Coles. He goes to Shannon Frizzell. The All Blacks, the 22, goes back to Narawa. He's been very busy in his early few minutes. Now Aaron Smith to himself. Early time ball to Geordie Barrett. So Scott Barrett and Dan Coles. Dan Coles reaches for the line. And that is the problem with New Zealand. You give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Dan Coles into the starting lineup, over the try line. Really good break. Turnover ball. And with the Argentinian defense turned, the All Blacks turned defense to attack. It's a great pass there. The break there from Rico Awani. A bit of a show and go. Look at all the pace he has. Then brings in Narawa. It's a good tackle in the end there from Carreras. But Argentina defense was always scrambling. Very good break there from a good offload, good line being run by Scott Barrett, and a very good supporting line there coming from Dane Coles. All right, it's a good start for the All Blacks after being under pressure in the first early few phases. They get the first score of the day. And David McKenzie, 40 caps. 104 points in an All Black shirt. Does have a kicking duties tonight. It is usually, or has traditionally been, Geordie Barrett in the last sort of 18 months, if not Richie Mwanga. But David McKenzie back into the side last year, back into the number 10 today. And that little smile before he kicks, and that's not a bad looking kick, should be fine. No, in fact, started too far right, so that's a pretty bad miss in the end, actually, from David McKenzie. A couple people quite surprised almost that he does start today. I quite like the idea, and I'm sure they're busy looking at their options, which I suppose is kind of the fundamental problem that the All Blacks have at the moment, is that they don't know their best side. And as a result, they're having to still experiment with a David McKenzie at 10, for example. A Geordie Barrett at 12, for example. Even that's not particularly well established in an All Black shirt. So it's an interesting sort of year for the All Blacks. given the fact it's a World Cup year and they still don't really know what their best starting lineup is. Anyway, back to Beauden Barrett in the pocket. He lifts it high in the air. He's turned a few players, and Narawa's after it, but it's come off on Argentina player and forced straight to Narawa. Has he got the pace? Has he got the pace? He throws it back inside and then forced to an All Black player. It goes to Shannon Frizzell. Shannon Frizzell, the ball comes loose. Gonzalo Bertino there to clean up. Goodness me, that was almost 2 in 2 minutes and a penalty for the All Blacks. So Argentina are looking a bit frazzled here. And leaving the feet of the breakdown is the call against Argentina. So tell you what, ominous signs for the home side in the first opening passages of play here. Couple of good passages of play there from New Zealand, and with all the confidence, they're going to go towards the corner. Attacking line here, Dan Cole's first line of the day in this sort of position, and they do go to Josh Lord, looking for the rolling more. Yeah, looks like it might splinter down the left hand side. Aaron Smith is lurking at the back there. Argentina working really hard. Once is the call. Cole still has the ball here. Should be twice the call now. Sure, the call of use is going to come from Pierce. They go short to Geordie Barrett. He goes to Rico Wani. Rico Wani almost breaking through the tackle. Now Artie Sevilla. Pretty good tackle on him from Lucio Sinti. Pick up and go from Dane Cole, the try scorer. Aaron Smith goes to Ethan de Groot. Inside ball to Scott Barrett. He's just short. Desperate defense now for Argentina. And pick up and go. And over from Artie Sevilla. And, you know, this is the problem again with Argentina is that they do have this in them. And New Zealand have started like a house on fire. And they've got their second try in 8 minutes. Argentina are absolutely reeling at the moment. And Artie Sevilla, well, one of the best players in world rugby at the moment. He opens his international account for 2023 in the first 10 minutes of his first game of the year. Scott Barrett came close again. He's carried well so far. Had a very good Super Rugby to Scott Barrett. David Keynes, a pretty poor miss in that first try. Much easier attempt this one. That's not a good kick either. I think he's missed that as well, you know. That's a dreadful kick. I mean, he might have to hand the kicking duties over to Geordie Barrett within the first 10 minutes. That's horrendous. What is going on here? I mean, it's not making much of a difference here, but what should have been an easy 14-0 is only a 10-0. So he's left 4 points out there already as Damian McKenzie. But I'll tell you what, if the All Blacks keep this up, this could be a very long game for Argentina, who, yeah, after a bright 2 minutes, have basically been nowhere since. So the restart now going down the right-hand side. It looks like it is Scott Barrett underneath it. And Smith firing out to Beauden Barrett. He's been the first receiver a lot. Now this is Scott Barrett, so it must have been Josh Lord underneath the kickoff there. Smith now to David McKenzie. McKenzie's going to go to the boot. Right up against the touchline. Right, options here. What does Carreras want to do? He looks to run. Oh, it's a big carry there. I think it's money on, but fairly now. Quick move from Bertino. We've got some numbers here. Rodrigo Bruni goes himself sides to step inside. And I think it's Buffetti that's down. One of their best players. Not somebody you want to see down. He is down in a lot of pain. Now Carreras goes to the boots. Couple of chases trying to put Caleb Clark under a bit of pressure. Back to Jordy and Beauden Barrett underneath it. And Jean Martin Gonzalez is trying to put a pressure on, but he does manage to stay in. Now Aaron Smith goes back towards the right-hand side to McKenzie. He asks Josh Laws to carry. Now back to Caleb Clark. Quick hands. The hands. There's an overlap here. Jordy Barrett to Beauden Barrett. Beauden Barrett with the pace. And the support line from Jordy Barrett. And they're going to run in a third try. That's a bonus point try, by the way. And that is the third try in less than 12 minutes. I mean, this is like watching Argentina when they first came into Rugby Championship. I mean, we sat there going, this would be a great opportunity for them to win their first game in Argentina. I mean, that's a woeful tackle attempt. Oh, dear. Dear, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Well, everybody might just say that crisis averted, the All Blacks are back, but this has been torrid from Argentina. Goodness me. It's gonna be a long game. I'm actually very upset about this. I was hoping to watch a really good close game, and this is this is carnage, absolute carnage at the moment. If you're looking to watch the game, check out the description. You can get a free trial for Stan Sports, and that's a 7-day free trial. So if you get that, you'll be able to watch next weekend's games as well. It's only available in Australia though, so if you're not in Australia, that's a better looking kick from Damien McKenzie. Then you can get yourself a VPN. Both Bitdefender, which is one of our channel partners, as well as ExpressVPN works. So check out the description for all the links you need to watch. I mean, it's not particularly hard, was there? There was a bit of an overlap, quick hands, and then a support line. And yeah, Jordy Barrett goes over, and all of a sudden it's 17-0 inside 13 minutes. Bit of a messy kickoff there. So Argentina have to score and sit next. There's no other way of saying it. And I think there was a knock-on there, boys, at the course. It'll be an Argentina scrum. And if they don't score next and score twice next, then I think it's actually come off an Argentina hand. Yeah, it wasn't a knock-on advantage for New Zealand. Then Argentina are in big trouble. I was really hoping to watch a nice, close, exciting game. You know, like those historic, oh, can Argentina do it? They've done it. Well, at the moment, they might as well have arrived. Bloody useless, if you ask me. My first scrum of the day. Let's see who will have the ascendancy here. I'm a big fan of Thomas Gallo, so I'm interested to see how he goes against Tyrell Lomax. Ethan de Groot up against Lucio Sondoni. Pretty big scrum there from the All Blacks. Huge scrum from the All Blacks. Penalty advantage for the All Blacks as well. Aaron Smith going to David McKenzie first receiver, firing it out towards Rico Wani. Rico Wani wants to go himself. Ball popping out. Aaron Smith going to David McKenzie. David McKenzie looking for options there. Sees a half gap, wants to go himself. Nothing there. So they'll go back for the penalty advantage. At the moment, Argentina are being outplayed, outclassed, outscrummed, and yeah, just generally absolutely nowhere. I thought that Michael Checker's Argentina was going to be a lot better than this. I don't know what the broadcast is in India. As I said, if you want to watch, if you're in India, you can get a VPN and you can watch it on Stan Sport. That's my only suggestion. I've got no idea if there's even a broadcaster in India. Nobody's still on the pitch must be a record. We just say I miss the old Argentina. I mean, this is just a waste of my time. I could be out drinking and having a good time. Instead, I have to watch Argentina get hammered. Like, I'm going to watch this game and cover this game. Give me something to watch here, people. And the All Blacks, well, it was almost looking good until Caleb Clark threw an absolutely dreadful pass to no one. And the ball goes out and will be an Argentina line-out. Must admit, not convinced about Caleb Clark. I understand he's big. I understand that he's got a lot of pace. But I watch him play and I sit there thinking, I don't think he's the type of player a lot of people think he is. Good player. But I have my reservations. And there's a knock on there from New Zealand. So it'll be an Argentina scrum, but yeah, not convincing as New Zealand did manage to get up and contest for the ball. I'm trying to find a positive here for Argentina, but apart from the fact that I got a cool kit, that's about the only thing. Come on, Argentina. Give me something to celebrate here. You guys got a cool logo and everything now. Brand new logo, cool kit. But at the moment, they spent the entire week, and I think the entire week definitely went. Malbafetti's kick has been charged down, which actually might work out really well. And the kicks come in, and it's gone in straight into touch, so it'll be a line just outside the 22. Pity, that actually would have been interesting if they managed to keep it in there. I think it was Cancellieri who was after that. There goes Josh Lord, straight pretty flat there for Artie Severe. Now Shannon Brazil. Back to Dan McKenzie. McKenzie lifts it high in the air. Nara was after it. It's a pretty good take there. I think it's by Carreras. Oh, should go down the left-hand side. Yeah, not too many options there. Oh, almost a bit of a line break. Gets a really good run there from Carreras. I don't know how he managed to sneak through there. Montoya now going himself, looking for the offload. Does find it. There's to be very isolated though. He's going to arrive. And a penalty as well. Not rolling there. Scott, I think it's actually beyond their hands beyond the ball's call there. So a penalty for Argentina. Not exactly go for the points, can you, when you're already 17 down? It's not even 20 minutes in. No, they have to go for the coin for the corner here. There's no point even trying to go for the 3 points. Yep, but Carreras going to go to the corner. Oh, he has to. Yeah, it's a tackle on Lavanini by Kane and Frizal. The dummy there from Montoya just starting him down the river. Kieran saying Doak is 217 years old. He just keeps going, doesn't he? Not as much as Augustin Krabby, though, to be fair. It's a good line out, really good line out. They are looking for the rolling more. Yeah, this is what Argentina were known for quite a long time. Montoya is controlling things at the back. Having to do a bit of shuffling. Penalty advantage here as well. So free roll of the dice. This is where Argentina can be so dangerous. The question is, can they get the ball out? Scott Barrett's come away with it. And penalised for coming around the side, I think. So they'll be able to probably just knock it into touch. And this time they'll have it go from the 5 metre line. The 5-man line. This time, let's see what I reckon they might go to a full line out. Yeah, it's full. It's a good 8-man line, 7-man line out. They're going to go to the back of the line out. Great take. Oh, it's a bit of a variation. Good work. Good work. Oh, they're over. Was there forward pass, though? It was. There was a knock on. How have you butchered that? How have you butchered that? That had to be a try. Had to be a try. It was a great set move off the back of the lineup there. Just short, and literally, they just needed one person to catch it. It's a great take. Bang. Good carry there from Gonzalez. Oh, no. And Rodrigo Bruni, how have you dropped that? And then Lavanini also dropped it, to be fair. Alright, it's a big scrum, yeah. New Zealand were looking for the penalty there, but I think, tell you what, I think Argentina, Oh, so All Blacks have got the penalty, but I think pretty safe to say that Argentina had the ascendancy there. So I don't think Argentina will be too upset with that. But they should have scored. It should be 17-7. Yep, it's annoying from Argentina. They had opportunities there and had to capitalize. Oh, ball over the top from New Zealand, and Rodrigo Bruni comes with turnover ball here for Argentina. Now Bertino goes to Lavanini. Now they change direction, yeah. Good handoff, good carry there from Moroni. Now Martin Gonzalez not carrying it up. Better here from Argentina. A couple of phases here. Carreras going pretty flat there for Gallo. Now Bertino back to Carreras, looking for options. Cinti good hands. And Carreras decided to go himself. Bit of space here. Good line. Brilliant line. Looking for the offload. Where's the support? Bruni's desperately trying to get it away. It eventually falls to Lavanini. And there's a better support line there. Could have been a decent line break. Now Carreras is much better from Argentina. Now Padla Matera carrying it up. Much better from Argentina. This is the going to the 9th phase. Carreras flat. Sordoni, strong carry from him. Carreras. Oh, yes, the offload, but fairly back on the inside. That's with the Argentinian flair you're here to watch. That's got to be a penalty, ref. Oh, long pass out wide. Lots to do here. Lots to do. And not nearly enough. Not nearly enough. Far too upright. I think if I was Argentina, I'd be looking surely at that breakdown where Sam Cane had a go, missed it, and then had another go. Much better from Argentina, though. That's the Argentina that we know and love. Great handoff there on RDCV. There are not too many people that hand off RDCV like that. Bruni, good line break there. He's desperately trying to find that offload. Eventually, Lavanini coming to join him, but ball over the top. It goes to RDCV. He's on a run. He's eventually brought down just inside the 22. Aaron Smith now going to Danny McKenzie. Looking to run the ball here. Bowden Barrett drifting across. Geordie Barrett, rather. You know, that's annoying. That's a poor... Well, I mean, not supported. As I said, I think Sam Cane had done the same thing about a few minutes earlier. So I think it's a bit of a harsh penalty to give when they didn't penalise Sam Cane. They not scored from here. And look at the momentum. And actually, Luke Pierce really getting in the way there. I think that ball over the out wide was the wrong decision. They had the numbers. I think 2 more phases, then you could have gone out wide and would have been a walkover. So not enough patience on the attack there. It's a good line out there. Aaron Smith going to Dane McKenzie. Dane McKenzie going short to Geordie Barrett. He's going to run the crash ball. He's still going. Good leg drive from him. He's eventually brought down by his opposite number, Lucius Cinti. Aaron Smith firing it out towards Bowden Barrett. Tell you what, the Barretts are involved today. Now penalty advantage for not rolling away. Dave McKenzie, not too many options. Wants to go down the left-hand side. He's floating around, gets the pass away to Caleb Clark, who sat down Cancellera, but eventually brought down. Still penalty advantage here for the All Blacks. Aaron Smith looking for options. Goes to Scott Barrett. It's very messy. Pierce getting in the way a lot here. Now ball over the top from McKenzie. Falls back into the hands of Lord. Good hands there. Sam K throws a miracle pass. Doesn't go to hand. It was a nice idea. They'll go back for the penalty. Angus Gardner have been quite harsh on Argentina so far. They haven't got too much over the green here. I mean, that over there is a pretty easy penalty to give anyway, but it was actually an infringement before then. Anyway. Good take there from Scott Barrett. Smith goes to Jordy Barrett. Jordy Barrett going himself. About 10 meters out from the try line here. New Zealand looking for their 4th try. Now Shannon Frizzell. Strong carry from him. Caleb Clark, his legs are cut out from underneath him. Good tackle from him. Now Sam Kane, All Blacks captain. De Groot. Now McKenzie options here. Cross kick comes in. Barrett gives it away to Caleb Clark. Caleb Clark gets around the outside. Oh, that could be a deliberate knockdown. That could be a penalty. It's penalty advantage. Was it a knock on or penalty advantage? What's the strategy? Is it the scrum? What's Angus Gardner going to go with here? There could be a yellow card and a penalty try because that almost looked like a deliberate knockdown, which if it is, oh dear, they're gonna have a look upstairs. This could be very, 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 very problematic for Argentina. Apparently, there's a foul play review as well. Yeah, I mean, I think that could be a penalty try. Yeah, it's not deliberate. I think that's a fair count. His arms out wide because he's going into the tackle. So it'll just be a knock-on, I think. Yeah, it should be just a knock-on. So scrum New Zealand. I think that's a fair shout. Oh, very fancy iPads over there, and Ian Foster darts away his iPad, and should see what he'd be writing down. Right, attacking scrum now for New Zealand on the 5-meter line. They've got the full right width to work with, so it can really do anything. Smith going himself, going to maybe Kids gets that ball to Jordy Barrett, well wrapped up. And driven back, really good defense that from Argentina. Now they have to let him go. Shannon Frizzell. McKenzie. Oh my word, that is horrible defense. Rico Alani goes over, but I mean the missed tackles there it's like watching a tier 2 nation, to be honest. In fact, that could be quite offensive to the tier 2 nation. Look at this. It's far too easy for Rico Alani. Bang, that's 2-3 tackles he's skipped there. How easy is that? Oh, it's dreadful. It's absolutely dreadful. Goodness me. I haven't seen Argentina play this badly in a very, very long time. And that's not me trying to take away from the All Blacks, who have been who are going to be who have been good and have needed, but they haven't needed to be good. And now Dan McKenzie slots that one as well. I'll have a look and see what everybody else has got to say about Argentina. No, and people aren't even bothering to have a go at Argentina. That's how bad they've been. 24 points to nil after half an hour. I mean, this is becoming a cricket score. They don't be careful. And yeah, I'm kind of running out of words to say about how bad this has been. Right, Burton Barrett. And Caleb Clark misses that out, but Carreras, Licenciero rather has. No, I think it's Caleb Clark has knocked it forward. Turnover boy. I had to say, I thought it was. Angus Gardner eventually remembering that there was a knock on and giving the scrum to New Zealand. The stats at half time. We're going to look at. I mean, let's have a look at some of the stats now, shall we? So we look at some of the stats there. Penalties conceded 5 from Argentina, just the 2 from New Zealand. 4 tries to none. Possession 65%. Yeah, no. No, it's not looking good. Not looking good at all for Argentina. I mean, at this stage, the All Blacks could put the entire bench on at half time just for shits and gigs and try and get some game time into these players. Start handing out debuts. Wow, so there's an Argentina scrum, yeah. Got to score. I mean, you got to score twice before half time to even try and make this game. I mean, even 24 points to 14 is still not particularly close. Still a 10-point lead. But inside ball, yeah, it's pretty telegraphed. It's a huge hit. Ball's come loose. Popped up though and knocked on Sam Kane. That's a huge tackle from him. Goodness me. He's someone that's got a lot to prove as Sam Kane. A lot of people questioning his place at the side. Definitely questioning his place as captain. Some people saying he's only playing as a captain. But that's a hell of a tackle he's just put on there. Cancellero's been hammered by Sam Kane. Goodness me. That's probably the tackle of the day. Right, so scrum for New Zealand now. As I said, just when Argentina thought that they were getting a bit of an opportunity, they butchered another one. I mean, they butchered 2 opportunities early on. That wasn't really that big of an opportunity compared to the other ones. It's a huge scrum for New Zealand as well. And another penalty for New Zealand. I mean, is it possible for Argentina to just sub their entire team at half time? 7 penalties conceded in the first half. I mean, that is mental compared to New Zealand's 2. New Zealand fine touch just past the 10-meter line. Once is the call, trying to have there any more. Dan Coles, he really has tried to his name so far as match. It's a pretty low looking more here from New Zealand. Argentina struggling to stop it. Dan Coles at the back there. Then she says use it, and Aaron Smith has to use it. The ball's come loose. Turnover ball here from Argentina. Ball over the top. Good hands. Now the kick over the top. Not a bad one in the end, but it will be a New Zealand line out. Yeah, it's a decent kick in the end. Tell you what, just a couple of meters to the right, and it could have 22 could have been on, yeah. Great hands there by Boffelli. Yeah, Carreras there. I don't think he was wanting it to start that left. Right, so New Zealand scrum, time off, sorry, rather. They're going to have a chat to Angus Gardner. Not sure what this is about. Josh Lord is busy tying his shoe. As you can see, a very quiet fan base crowd from Argentina. They're having a water break. And I think they're just a bit shell-shocked about how bad their team has been. And it sounds very harsh, but they have. I think, as Albert Flinga is just saying now, the All Blacks have been good, but they've not had to be. They're not had to be particularly good. I mean, this is one of the worst Argentina first halves I think I've ever seen. They've missed tackles. They've made basic errors. And to think they almost scored in the first 2 minutes. It would almost been the perfect start. I wonder what would have been happened. It would have been interesting to see because they are a side that feed off the energy. So, if they do start well, they are a side that can sort of keep that going. That they have started absolutely atrociously. Now the question is, do they have it in them to try and mount a comeback? I mean, you're going to need 4 tries just to get close. So 5 minutes to go in the first half, and if Argentina go in at scoreless, I don't see how they even begin to come back from this. Ari Sevilla off the back of the lineup there in the midfield. Trying to hold him up there was Alemano, and he's conceded a penalty for not running away in the process. Penalty number 8. I mean, they're going to concede 10 penalties in the first half. They're generally a good penalty count for an international game. If you had decent discipline of 7 to 8 in the game, they've had 8 in the first half. And Barrett, that's a huge kick. Hasn't found too much territory. It'll be just outside the 22. But Geordie Barrett showing just how big of a boot he has. He's Barrett's a cheat code though. I mean, they're all playing well at the moment. Imagine just having a family of just like production lining rugby players. Another good lineup there, going to McKenzie. You got short to Geordie Barrett. Speak of the devil. And turnover ball. That's really good work from Rodrigo Bruni. Now Moroni, not too many options. Goes to the boot, and I think he's kicked the straight out. Oh my goodness. I mean, he had a couple of options, and he just decides to launch on the boot, and he just kicked out. I mean, that's a dreadful kick. All of a sudden, get on the brakes. They're already into 22 go New Zealand. To Groot now, just inside the 22. Couple of phases here. Now Sam Kane, the captain, as we go into the last few minutes of the first half. Penalty advantage. Penalty number 9. Dave McKenzie spots a bit of space out wide. Goes to Caleb Clark. Caleb Clark cuts on the inside. He's isolated. It's a pretty good... I don't know. Still penalty advantage. Thought it was a steal there. Now Scott Barrett as help from his lock partner. Aaron Smith now. Artie Sevilla. And they're going to go back for the penalty. Yeah, as expected, Montoya's getting a bit of a talking to from the referee about discipline, as that is penalty number 9. I said they are going to bring up 10 in the half. I mean, that's absolutely ludicrous discipline from Argentina. And New Zealand kicked into touch, and they're going to search for their 5th try of the half with 2 minutes to go. Tough times, yeah, boys. Tough times. Right, Dan Coles. Good take there from Brazil. Looking for the rolling maul. They're looking for another penalty advantage. That's number 10. There has to be a yellow card, yeah. Has to be a yellow card. And they give it to Aaron Smith. Aaron Smith goes himself, and he's virtually untouched. And a yellow card. Oh my goodness. Just call the game. Call the game. I mean, there's no point. This is only going to get worse and worse and worse. So easy from Aaron Smith. So easy. I mean, that is now going to be 29-0. Soon to be 31-0. Down to 14 men. 10 penalties conceded in that first half. Yeah, Michael Taker's going to be chuffed. Yeah, he's going to... I mean, that half... Yo, Shaka not being in that halftime talk. Imagine. He probably start slapping people around. Start boxing. Right, so Dan McKenzie to make it 30 points in the first half with 10 seconds to go. If he slots us the next 5, there could be time for kickoff. And with 5 seconds to go, looking less and less likely. Right, will we have... Nah, right, so that is half time. And yeah, no, listen, that was horrible from Argentina. It can only get better, really, from the home side. Half-time, 31 points to 0 in favor of New Zealand. We will be back after a short break. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. And we'll see you guys in about 10 minutes. Right, and we are moments away from the second half of what has been a very one-sided affair so far. Argentina trailing 31 points to 0 at halftime, and I must say it's been truly, truly woeful so far from the Argentinians, and it has to get better. At the end of the day, yeah, they've more or less sacrificed the win. At the moment now, they're playing for pride. And it's difficult to really put a finger on why they've been so bad, Argentina. But New Zealand have been good. They started off when they were on it quite quickly. But my word, have Argentina made silly errors and just not really pitched up. Anyway, we do have kickoff for the second half. New Zealand playing right to left, and it's already a very good kickoff, and a lot of pressure be put on Carreras from the kickoff already. So yeah, let's see if Argentina can sort of pick themselves up and put in a decent performance this half. Because yeah, as I said, it can't get much worse, I think, in the first half. But I've been wrong before, and it's not a great clearance. And all of a sudden, David McKenzie is looking to get using back on the attack, and the Caleb Clark. It's a decent carry from just shy of the 22 there. David McKenzie wrapping around and just dropping it, and then it's knocked on, so it will be a scrum for Argentina. It's a great little dummy, but then a lot of pressure still on the kick there on Carreras. Nice little option there as David McKenzie trying to go around the back of Burton Barrett. Not quite coming off though. But yeah, what did you guys think of the first half? Apart from the fact that it was just absolutely dreadful from Argentina, but do they have a chance? What are they playing for you? What as Michael Checker, what can you take out of the rest of the game? You know, is this a case of you want to start trying things? Is it a case of you kind of sort of just go out there and you continue playing your patterns, try to see if you can kind of start honing in your game plan? Maybe start seeing if you can get something to work. Is it a case of can we adapt? You know, is this an opportunity for us to learn how to adapt to a different, a system, for example, or to a different, I don't even know, to be honest. Argentina right now down to 14 men as well, as if anything else could go any worse. So down to 14 and down in the scrum. I think it was Bruni that got yellow carded. And it's a huge scrum coming from Australia. But Pablo Matera does manage to break off the back. And a big carry as he bundles over David McKenzie and Geordie Barrett. Really good carry there from Pablo Matera. It's not a great pass from Burton. And Carreras goes to the boot. But Feli is chasing hard. Burton Barrett's getting there. He does it well. But the pass is backwards. And John Martin Gonzalez. And it's come through. Yeah, has he got the pace? He's staying close next to him. Well, we're going to go all the way back, I think, to a knock-on. I think Dan Coles might have gotten there. Dan Coles is rapid, by the way. But a knock-on initially from Argentina will be an all-black scrum back at the 10-meter line. Well, that would have been a nice way to start the proceedings here for Argentina. Not to be the great pressure, though, from John Martin Gonzalez. With Dan Coles there showing some serious pace. He actually missed it, to be honest. I mean, to be honest, if it wasn't a knock on earlier, I think that could have been a penalty try, because Dane Coles definitely pushed Cinti off the ball there. The big scrub coming from New Zealand. And there's the penalty advantage from Angus Gardner. You can see he didn't want to give it, but he had to eventually. Dan McKenzie now going to Geordie Barrett. Good hands, left them behind. And they'll go back for the penalty. And if I'm Michael Checker, I'm slapping that front row, to be honest. What's the point? I mean, they're getting absolutely demolished. It's one-way traffic here. It's not even fun anymore. It's not even funny. That's a really good kick as well. So All Blacks back inside the 22. And Cole's once again on the front foot. They're on the front foot once again. Ah, penalty of Argentina. Oh, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Sherbet. I mean, they're probably not even going to know what the options are. They might have to ask Angus Gardner what they're supposed to do when they get a penalty. It's been so long since they've had one. Get away with that one. I'll tell you what, they're under all sorts of pressure with the All Blacks. Right, Dan Coles goes off and Curry Taylor's on. That's another penalty for Argentina. I'll tell you what, the tides are turning here, people. The tides, they are turning. So Argentina all of a sudden now progressing down the park and looking to try and hit back while they are down to 14 men. So will be interesting to see if they can do it. Back-to-back penalties there for Argentina. And I'll tell you what, Britain of all people carrying it up. So Donny having to come in at scrum off, and it's a strong carry there from Lavanini. So Donny swinging a bit of space. Much better from Argentina. Bertino there to Lucia Cinti. Not too many options there. Not too much plan on attack, really. And it's turned over, and it will be a... it looks like they're pointing to an All Black. Why is it an All Black line out? It is an All Black line out. It's Curry Taylor's first line out, and it goes back to Damien McKenzie, who pumps the ball downfield. And just as Argentina were finally finding a bit of territory inside the New Zealand half, they're way back inside their own half. That kind of sums it up, doesn't it? I would say the rest started to feel sorry for the Pumas. I mean, it's just been horrible, hasn't it? Absolutely horrible. They go pretty short. Much better there from Argentina. A couple of phases here. Bertrand going, he wants to do the wraparound. Oh, showing go from Montoya, and he's looking for the offload, but nobody else is aware to the threat. Yeah, another penalty advantage for Argentina. Well, I'll tell you what, if New Zealand score, I can see 10 penalties, maybe Argentina might be able to get back into the game somewhat. Carreras, not too many options, floating around, looking for options, eventually goes to Gallo. Oh, it's a brilliant twist on him from the tackle. Still going, and he gets away from Rodrigo Bruni. He's still going, he's back on the park. I need to get rid of that yellow card, but Argentina up to the 5-meter line. Oh no, Bertrand absolutely butchered that. He got caught on the ball. They're 5 minutes out here, Argentina. Can they score a try? Can they get things going in the second half? Alemano goes close. Lavanini. He makes a meter or two. They're 2 meters out. Can somebody find their way over the whitewash? Pablo Matera going to come short. Bruni looking for the pick up and go. Another advantage here for Argentina. Back to Cancelero, stepping away from a couple. Still going to Cancelero. Looks into options. Sinti goes straight, and I think he's left the ball behind. It's available for the Betano, and he's been taken out by Narawa, who's that's that's gotta be cynical almost. Right, let me remove that yellow card. Because Argentina are back to a full contingent, but they are going to go back for the penalty here. They're just short. Argentina wants to get taking it quickly. Penalty advantage once again. Surely Argentina can score here. Surely. Sordoni just short. Has he scored? He has scored. Argentina are on the mark, on the board, in the game. Sordoni, look at that. Look at their hair, the mullet to match. I mean, you got to give that mullet a try, don't you? Now Emiliano Buffelli. His first kick of the match. Yeah, that looks pretty good. No! I thought it looked pretty good. I thought it was come around, but right, so that's I mean, I wouldn't say it's that important of a kick, but any point counts when you're trying to chase a game. And imagine it does come down to that kick. It's a pretty straightforward one, and especially somebody of Buffelli's class. Unfortunately, Argentina are going to have to score another 3 converted tries to even begin to make this interesting. And even that only gets them to 26. Dear. Anyway, Argentina on the board though. Let's make a bit of a game of it, you know. Like, if we're going to stay up late here and watch this, at least make a game of it. You know, got 27 minutes left. Let's make it a good 27 minutes. Some pretty horrendous kick there. And that's Nicolas Sanchez who's come on. So Cancelera has gone off. Which means that Carreras has stayed on, which means that he'll probably go to fullback, but Philly will probably go to the wing. And Nicolas Sanchez is on the park, and I think he'll go into fly half. Yeah, it does look like that's Philly on the wing there. Go to the front of the line out here, do the All Blacks. eventually falls back to Aaron Smith. Aaron Smith goes to Jordy Barrett. Daniel McKenzie fires it out towards Bowden Barrett. Bowden Barrett trying to get on the outside. Great tackle. He does manage to pop it out to Caleb Clark, though. Really good work there from Argentina. Much, much better. There's a really good cover defense there. Now, turnover ball here. Oh, they've got numbers as well. McFeely managed to stay in. Good line. Ah, Bertino can't hold on with the knock on. Oh, no, no, no. Had the opportunities. They had opportunities. Super Vise on Josh Law's made away, which doesn't surprise us. And didn't have a lot of too much game time in Super Rugby. In fact, many people quite surprised he got picked for the All Blacks, and especially that he's going to start today. So Super Vi onto the park. Oh, the wraparound. Daniel McKenzie's gone straight through. Daniel McKenzie to Bowden Barrett, and Bowden Barrett in the corner. Just as things were starting to look a little bit up for Argentina, the All Blacks hit back, and this is going to be a high-scoring affair here. And look at the wraparound. I mean, this is where they're so dangerous. The wraparound there from Damian McKenzie. So much pace. Then it just goes to Bowden Barrett. He runs it into the corner. Easy as you like. Easy as you like. $36 to 5 with the king to come. Yeah, so the kick goes wide. So back to a 31-point lead. And I'll tell you what, Argentina could still be in this. And they kick deep from New Zealand off the back of the kickoff. It's a great kick. I mean, that's gone from inside the 22 to the 22. Now Nicolas Sanchez lifts it high in the air. Very easy for Bowden Barrett, though. And a penalty for Argentina. Because it hadn't been a while. It hadn't been long enough.
It has been a very frustrating hour of Test rugby for the Pumas captain. Really the defender in the second half.
Alright. Where are we at, time-wise? We are sitting at about 58 minutes. I'm exhausted, by the way. I apologize if I do switch off a bit. It's been a very long day. And I was hoping for a bit of a more entertaining game, sort of keep us up and keep us exhilarated. Oh, that's bounced, that's bounced. Great kick from Jordy Barrett and Kenneth Carreras. Under a lot of pressure. Yes, both teams do still have 15 players. I do actually put yellow cards up on the screen if they don't. So, yeah, that's how organized we are. And the ball's gone up and goes out. Not great clearance from Bertino. Hey, the turnover, that's a pretty little turnover lineup, by the way. And he goes on a bit of a run there, does Penn Matera. Now Lavanini down the side. Oh, and he's just thrown off Sam Kane. There's been more fight in those two carries than there has been the entire game. Like, literally, where's that been? Now Sanchez skips the pass out towards Cinti. Matias Orlando onto the park as well. Now Pablo Matera comes back inside, does Carreras. Good hands, Sanchez. Sordoni on the shoulder, good work there. Much better from Argentina. That's a little bit of attacking shape all of a sudden. But Buffet, not too many options, decides to go to the boot. That's a great little kick in behind as well. Great kick that from Emiliano Buffet. Where's that been all game? That little patch of play is a positive, I suppose. And at this stage, this is what you need, isn't it? You know, you got to take on those positive every single time. All right, 20 minutes to go before the Argentinian slaughter comes to an end. Okay, maybe they can score a few tries and make this look a little bit more respectable. Like a 36-20, you know, type vibe. You know, score like 3 tries and just make this look semi-decent. I mean, Lavanini goes off, and I mean, you're gonna score off at 36-5, thinking, shit, I don't think I dared myself there too much. It wasn't bad actually. Finley Christie's onto the park as well, by the way. Oh, another charge down from Richie Mwanga. Caleb Clark happy to shepherd that out, but yeah, basically the entire bench from the All Blacks coming on here, and why not? Why not? Lala on. Who's not on? Let's go have a look and see who's not on, who is on, who's not on. Looks like Dane Coles is on. Cody Taylor's on. Took the fastest on. Lala. I think just Dalton Papili and Braden N are the only ones that aren't on. And as Arsenal look to run up following the restart there. Bowden Barrett being replaced by Richie Mwanga. So Danny McKenzie going to full back. Gallo popping up after he was about to get hammered. Montoya still going. The Leicester Tigers. I think former Leicester Tigers. I think he's actually just moved. Hooker. Gallo. Carreras. He's quite a small little wing, but a little tricky customer when he gets the ball in hand. Sanchez. Oh, Sordoni was well read by the All Blacks, but good handling there. Sanchez. A couple of lazy runners, creating a bit of doubt there. Carrera, Santiago this time. Pablo Matera wasn't really expecting that. And then throws a half pass. A great take. Knock on advantage here for Argentina. Alemano goes to the right hand side. Has Matera ever heard of having the ball in 2 hands? I mean, he gets the offload away, but I mean, he's like sitting there like throwing a ball around like this. It's mental. Tojo goes himself trying to get his hands to the tackle. Now Bertino by himself, very isolated. Finley Christie puts in a big tackle. Probably about the only Argentinian to put in a big tackle. And the ball's come loose here. Has it gone forwards? No, Thomas Gallo with it. It's very messy all of a sudden. I think Argentina must have gone through about 12 phases. And Matera, again, once again, sort of running with the ball in one hand. That's much better here from Argentina. I think they got a penalty advantage as well, by the way. Sanchez. Orlando. Carrera's trying to come back on the inside of Narawa. Sanchez. Made a difference a bit, yeah, but Buffet on the wing there, on the right wing this time. Geordie Barrett has won a breakdown penalty. That's when you know, like it's been a bad night. When Geordie Barrett's busy winning breakdown penalties, I think it's time to just close up shop, take the day, and say, right, boys, we tried.
Yeah, their punches got over the advantage line nicely. A couple of times Argentina tried beating Matera running with the ball in one hand, looked at the top of the offload, pick and go.
We will have some team news, by the way, for the Springboks. It looks like they're going to announce the team that's going to go over to, well, the rest of the squad that's going to go over to New Zealand. So we should have a video up on that before the end of the evening, in case you are wondering who's going and who's not. Good line on Finley Christie going to Moanga. To Geordie Barrett getting the offload away to Rico Awani. Very good breakdown penalty from Argentina. Trying to work out who it is. I think it's Bruni, actually. Rodrigo Bruni. Yeah, Rodrigo Bruni over it very quickly. Da, 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 da. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Do, do. Do, do. This is somewhat, to be fair, there's not much else to do here, people. It's been a long evening. It's been a long game. It's not been a good game, but it's been a long game. And that's the thing, you know, it's not been good rugby. There are some watchalongs which, you know, they are just end to end champagne rugby, big hits, excitement, cool moments. This has been a 20-minute demolition, and after that, it's been scrappy rugby, to be honest. And I should have lost the line out. Kind of sums up, doesn't it? Narawa and Dalton Papali'i's on. So I think if Braden N is on, that means the entire All Blacks bench has been put on, and Geordie Barrett tries to spin away from that. Ball comes a bit loose, and Artie Severe's under a bit of pressure inside the 22. Cody Taylor now carrying it up. All Blacks inside their own 22. Christie going back to Richie Mwanga. Very good take by Carrera. So there's a big hit on him from the Rawa. Montoya. You'll always keep going, won't you? Sanchez going himself this time. He's actually been a bit of a difference, Nicolas Sanchez. Ah, dear. And there comes the knock on. Sam Kane popping up to Christie. Christie away to David McKenzie. McKenzie. Good tackle by Carreras. Christie flinging it out to Sam Kane. Rush defense there. Good work from Matera, trying to put a bit of pressure on the All Blacks there. Now to Lomax. And there's no advantage. So, thanks, guys. Let's go back for the knock on and have a scrum with 12 minutes to go. Right, check out Augustine Creevy. So, Julian Montoya does part ways. So, I got to feel sorry for him. He's a good player in a team that's been dreadful today. And he won't dodge the questions. He'll tell the press afterwards how bad they were and how they need to improve, because this has been disastrous. And Creevy, who's Argentina's all-time most capped player, will become the first Argentinian ever to reach 100 caps. Probably in the Rugby Championship, actually, if he plays all 3 games. It's a much better scrum from Argentina. Very, very evenly matched. Much, much better. No much ascendancy coming from the All Blacks. A little bit there towards the end. Mwanga kick over the top to turn Emiliano Bafeli. Good work there from Carreras, who's back at fullback now. Number 10. Argentina all the way back inside their own half with just over 10 minutes to go. No shit kick, then goes Sanchez looking to run out here. Cindy throws a long one pass out to Carreras. And he's running, let me tell you what, he's tried hard. He's actually getting quite a few meters, but he's just had, he's always had like 3 or 4 ball blacks set to move. He's never really had a lot of space and gaps to work with. Pablo Matera up towards the halfway line. Looks like a penalty advantage as well. No. I suppose the good news for the Pumas is that, for Argentina, is that literally the second half score was 0-0. So I suppose it's actually a much better second half. So after being blown away in the first 20 minutes, they've kind of nullified New Zealand. Which I suppose is a positive, but at the end of the day, when you go into half time 31-0, it's difficult to find positives. But I suppose that actually, to be fair, that actually is quite a big positive, and maybe even a bit of a worry if you're a New Zealander and you're sitting there going, well, how do we go 36-0, 31-0 at half time, and then we only score 5 points in the second half? What happened? They just didn't come as clinical, didn't keep as much ball in hand. Argentina have been a lot better in the second half. There's no doubt about it.
Receiving some attention. First and the second half, so it's been better from Argentina.
Right, Argentina just outside 22. Good take from Alemano. Lucius Cinti. Huge tackle on him from Sam Cane. And Jordy Barrett once again at the breakdown has turned the ball over. What is Jordy Barrett? All of a sudden a bloody flank. Mwanga chip over the top for McKenzie to chase. McKenzie can't gather. McKenzie now does gather. And does knock the ball out in the process. Nice idea from Mwanga. I'll tell you what, McKenzie, after those first 2 shaky kicks, has actually played pretty well. I don't think he'll start at 10 for next weekend. I think we will see Mwanga back in the 10 channel against the Box. Yeah, Sam Cane's been very good in defense today. How we reset scrums, yeah. Do, 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 do. The penalty for the All Blacks. Argentina thought they might have gotten a penalty there. It was their scrum, but yeah, no. Critical saying, what happens when a team like SA or Ireland plays a restricted style of rugby and DMAC can't work his magic? I suppose that's when you can go to Burton Barry, it's probably a bit more traditional, a bit more physical. Moanga, I suppose, as well, can manage the game probably a bit better. Geordie Barrett's got a bit of a cut somewhere, a lot of blood on his face. I think it's just in the nose, actually. Don't think this performance is very convincing. No, I think, to be fair, on the whole, good. It has been good, but not flawless. You know, after that first half, I mean, Argentina looked like they were going to be a 50-point down easy, but in the end, it's been a 5-5 half. I gotta take it quickly. Yeah, they go to Tupo Vi. Quick ball there to a Lomax now. As the 5-minute marker ticks by. Julian Salvier, Ari Salvier rather, still carrying strongly in the 75th minute. Christie going to Enna. Enna to McKenzie, to Caleb Clark. Caleb Clark steps inside. Caleb Clark just short. Big hit there on Lualala. Pick up and go from Cody Taylor. Short. They're on the doorstep here, are the All Blacks. Can Argentina keep them out? Or the All Blacks finally get another try? It's been a while, actually, since they've had one. Long outside. Narawa on debut gets his try. Barely celebrates because that's how bad Argentina have been. But there it is. Emoni Narawa on debut goes over in the corner. You did feel in this passage to play that it was coming. They were finding a lot of joy getting further and further down the park, closer and closer to the try line. And you can see it's almost a bit lazy for Argentina. They're just not really in the game anymore. Long ball out wide there. Sanchez has to try and get across, but he's just never going to get there in time. And Arawa has a relatively straightforward run in for his first ever, and probably not his last, international try in the black and white of the All Blacks. And a couple of the Argentinian fans deciding that is enough. We are out of here. A waste of our time. 41 points to 5. Two pretty big victories. Argentina and Australia going down today. And All Blacks and the Springboks very much putting down the marker, throwing down the gauntlet for the Rugby Championship, saying we are the teams to beat. And they are the teams that will go head-to-head next weekend. So that should be an absolute cracker. Obviously, we will be live for that, so I hope that everybody watching here will come and join us next weekend. It is an earlier kickoff. I think it's about 9 o'clock. It's that standard time. So, yeah, it'll be a breakfast game as opposed to a late afternoon, early evening game. David McKenzie does push that wide as well as we go into the last 3 minutes of the game. And Barrett hammers that into touch. Jordy Barrett's been named man of the match. I think that's probably about right. I mean, he's had a couple of turnovers. He's scored some tries. He's kicked well. He's carried well. He's defended well. Yeah, I think that's a pretty easy decision to make. Not as easy as giving it to Kurt Lawrence, who managed a hat trick as Argentina lose that line out. I mean, when you go through the stats later, it's going to be childish how bad they've been. Pretty poor pass that from Mwanga as it goes out towards Nurawa on the outside. Perez getting across to make that tackle, though. All Blacks not done yet. They want another one. To a Lomax now. Argentina just trying to sort of save it a face here. Good hands, good hands. Sam Kane brought down. Sam Kane's been very good today. Finley Christie, good hands, but the ball goes behind. Mwanga's got under a bit of pressure. And they're trying to get over them. And surely that's a penalty for Argentina. Surely that's a penalty for Argentina. It is a penalty for Argentina. Good work at the breakdown there. Right, can Argentina finish on a flurry? That's what Australia did, to be fair. Australia scored the last try of the game against South Africa to save a bit of face. Argentina looking to do the same thing. 30 seconds left. Thank you, everybody, by the way, for the day that was. It's been the biggest day for the channel ever. We've done over 350,000 views on today alone. And this Springbok Watchalong is the biggest rugby watchalong on YouTube ever. Not for us, for anyone. So thank you for everybody for being part of the process. Argentina with penalty advantage. They're looking to finish on a high. They are still about 50 meters out, a long way to go. And they'll go back for the penalty. They'll be able to kick them into touch once again. The hooter should be going. This will be the last play. There goes the hooter. Thinking about the quick tap? No. Nah, none of that apparently. Looking for the rolling more here, Argentina. Can they finish on a high note? Can they get a consolation try? They can. Augustine Creevy of all players as well will have the last say. So much like the first the game earlier, the home side, well, the losing side having the last say. In the end, they've been absolutely outclassed here in Mendoza of Argentina. But a nice moment for Augustine Creevy, who does go over and score a try. He is a couple of games away from being Argentina's first ever Test match Centurion. So a couple of extra tries to his name, I'm sure will be well welcomed. Right, kick to come from Befeli. He did miss the first one. So definitely not a certainty here. Right, can he add 2 extra points to his personal points tally? I don't think he can, you know. That's a dreadful kick. Absolutely dreadful. Right, well, that is time's up. And yeah, that was poor. 12 points to 41. In fact, they did get it. Didn't look like it was going to go over, but it did go over. 12 points to 41 is how it ends over at Mendoza. People, it's been a long day. So thank you very much for joining me throughout the day. We will see you guys live once again on Monday. And we will see you next weekend for the watch-alongs. Advantage the All Blacks, advantage the Springboks, who are coming top of the table with points difference there. 2 bonus point wins coming from the number 3 and 4 teams in the world. Very much sort of putting down the marker in terms of the standards that teams will have to beat to try and beat them. So, yeah. People, thank you very much. Have a great weekend. We will see you guys next weekend. And